Right there is what we're possibly looking at right now, a pretty well-defined velocity couplet. Reds, of course, coming in with greens. And this is what we're looking at right now, still sitting east of 183, about 2 to 3 miles to be exact from the city of Frederick. So Frederick, you need to be in that safe spot right now. You need to take shelter if you do not have a storm shelter ready to go, or if you're not already in that storm shelter, get away from all windows, get to the most interior portion of your home. This includes also trying to protect yourself, your family, your pets. Get a helmet on, let's say get a pillow to cover your head or a mattress or something that could protect you. Let's say if we have any type of flying debris that may come into your home, or if worst case scenario, of course, a roof collapses or something like that. We do not want to continue to talk more about the storm threats, but we wanted to continue to bring to your attention is that this tornado is still most likely on the ground or very, very close to the ground. And we might be getting a new radar scan in right now. It might take another couple of seconds to ingest here. But at this point, we're still very close to this radar site, so it's going to be looking almost directly into the storm near the surface. And it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing because it could also skew our data if it shifts a little bit more towards the east and closer to Highway 183. Josh is going to bring in our shear right now. There's our velocity confirmation. There's our shear. We talked about usually when we see purples is a pretty good indication that there may be a tornado on the ground. So of course, there's our confirmation. West of 183, just to the south and southwest of Frederick at this point, and we are still going to continue to track this until this is going to become essentially a non-threat across parts of southwest Oklahoma. Frederick, like I said before, you need to get into that safe location. Josh, let's go ahead and draw a track from that main area of interest, that hook echo is where that tornado is likely sitting at. And to give you perspective, there's Lawton, there's Chattanooga, there's Snyder, there's Roosevelt, there's Altus. A couple of additional cities include that could be in the path of this tornado warning. Once again, Frederick already should be in the safe spot. Manitou, Snyder, up to Cooperton, you need to get in a safe place of shelter at this moment. This particular tornado is moving northeast at around 30 miles per hour. Once again, the speed is still subject to change or vary between now and the next 10 to 20 minutes as this particular storm within this tornado warning tries to evolve. But there is that tornado warning. We're talking Frederick, 753, right on top of you right now. Snyder at 824, Cooperton 850. And then following that, it will continue moving northward. But you can see it's really not that far away from Lawton. Eventually, this tornado-warned storm will move into western parts of Comanche County. Of course, we're going to continue to watch this very closely. Let's go to reflectivity, Josh. I want to see if we can make out where the hook echo is. There's our hook echo, apparently. And we got the inflow right now. Like I said before, it's going to be a little bit hard to determine at this point because we're just so close to that radar site, about 3 miles away from it. But still looking at a pretty good inflow notch. There's the hook echo. There is the hail core. If there's going to be any hail developing within the system, it's going to be just north of that. There's Snyder. And what makes it even more concerning is the movement of this tornado warning. It's moving from southwest, pushing northeast. And by the time it potentially can move over you, you might not even be able to see it because you're going to be having a ton of rainfall at that point. You're going to be having strong winds, a lot of lightning within the storm, possibly even some hail. And by the time you maybe try to look for the tornado, it could be right on top of you. So this is why we are on air on all platforms to warn you of this storm so that you can get into that safe place at a very comfortable time. And I mean comfortable time, I mean giving yourself enough time to, of course, try to eliminate some of those dangers that this could cause to you and your family and your home. But there's Snyder included in it. Looks like it's very close to our Frederick radar, and this will continue moving in the general northeast direction. At this time, Josh, any type of hail cores developing within this system at this point?
Currently, right now, we are maybe probably seeing a little bit, but it might be kind of hard to tell with the radar site so close. Right now, at the moment, we have not really seeing anything in terms of specific from the NWS. All we're seeing so far is that the tornado damage threat is considerable, and it is a confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado. It is just past Highway 5 now and is currently still heading northeast.
Okay, so a very large and dangerous tornado is what Josh just said. And of course, for a lot of folks, this hits very close to home. We're going to go ahead and go back to our tornado warning. There's Frederick, there's Manitou, there's Tipton, there's 5. Josh just highlighted 5 right there for you. A confirmed and large and very dangerous tornado has been spotted here in Tillman County, about 3 miles away from Frederick in our radar side at this point. There's 183, there's Altus, there's Snyder, and just to the right side of your screen, there's 44, there's Lawton, there's Elgin. And of course, if you live in Duncan, you know that Duncan is just east of Lawton. There's Chattanooga, and here's our main concern. Very large and dangerous tornado, likely going to continue to stay on the ground here. We are hoping that this lifts a lot sooner rather than later, obviously. We do not want any damage to occur with this, but this is why we want you to get into that safe place almost immediately. We want to go ahead and go back to our shear. Following our shear, we want to go over a couple of tornado safety tips because it's very important now that this has been a confirmed and very large tornado that we just kind of go over these tips once or twice again to make sure that everybody knows what to do. So Josh, if we can go ahead and go to our shear graphic showing the amount of rotation within the atmosphere. There it is. Very well defined. There's a purple still showing up on your screen. We saw the hook echo. We saw the inflow notch not too far away from the city of Frederick right now. Now that we kind of know where it is, let's go ahead and redraw where it could be heading. Once again, folks, it's moving northeast at around 30, 35 miles per hour. A very large and dangerous tornado has been confirmed just north of the Red River and parts of Tillman County and very close to the city of Frederick. You can almost count Frederick out of this because it's right on top of you. You need to be in the storm shelter. You need to be in the most interior portion of your room. You need to cover your head. You need to continue to take this threat very seriously. Manitou, 814, Snyder right there at 835. Cooperton at 905, Gotebo there at 932. We hope that this lifts, like I said before, sooner rather than later. That gets a lot more folks out of the threat of this large and confirmed tornado that is on the ground right now, just to the west of 183. Now, Josh, it's not too late to go in and talk about some tornado safety tips real quick. Let's go ahead and pull that up, and then we'll get right back and do this again with our velocity. Okay, so it looks like we're going to go ahead and go to our chaser, Matt Walker, currently looking at that storm. As soon as we get done with Matt Walker, we're going to go right back to some severe weather reminders here. But let's go ahead and go to our chaser, Matt Walker, who is on that storm, looking towards it. A ton of lightning ongoing with the storm here. There it is right there on your screen. You're going to see a lot of lightning here. You're hopefully going to find out where the tornado is. This is Highway 62 near the county line of Comanche and Kiowa County at this point. And you can see it right there on your screen. And we're waiting for some type of lightning to hopefully pinpoint where this could be lining up here. Once again, it has been a spotted, large, and very violent tornado near Frederick in Tillman County. But it also includes Comanche County, it also includes Kiowa County, and of course it also includes Tillman County. And we'll continue to track this until this no longer becomes a threat to our area. There's a live look. Once again, we're trying to see if we can get enough lightning to take place here and see if we can maybe see something along the horizon. There may have been something behind that stop sign. Hopefully we can get a little bit more lightning to on-go here. Cloud ground lightning, of course, is another danger within the storm there. Very dangerous situation here because it has been a confirmed and large and violent tornado, and it's also dark, folks. This is why our severe weather threats continue to be our main concern moving forward through at least the late evening and overnight hours. Now, let's go ahead and go back to Josh, who has some tornado safety tips. Once again, we're just going to go ahead and reiterate a couple of these tips because there are now several communities under the threat of a large and violent tornado that will be moving towards your area. Go inside a sturdy home or a building. Go to the storm shelter if you can, or to the lowest floor of your apartment or your home at this point, and the most interior portion as well. You also want to cover yourself up. Keep away from all windows and outside walls. You want to put as many walls in between you and, of course, the outside as possible. That just gives you a little bit more protection, if worst case scenario, the tornado actually does come through and hit your city. We also, of course, want you to stay calm. This is why we are here. This is why we will be here until this tornado threat is no longer going to continue to allow to be any type of concern here across southwestern Oklahoma. Now, what we do want to do is we want to go back to that tornado warning for folks who may have joined a little bit later since we started our stream here. There's our tornado warning. Kiowa, Tillman counties, just north of Frederick. They may have just reissued the positioning of this tornado warning. This also includes 62 there. You can see 62, and you can see 183 right there from Frederick going up towards Snyder. There is the hook echo. Zoom on in, Josh. We'll go ahead and recenter this. There's Tipton. So just to the southeast of Tipton, there's Highway 5 right there. And here's the inflow notch. So here's where it is. There's our hook echo, and we'll be moving towards Manitou. Right now, Manitou, you're seeing very heavy rainfall, a ton of lightning, strong wind gusts right now. But here's what we want you to do. You need to be in a safe place of shelter right now. There's 183, and just to our north, Josh, we can go north. We can go and track a couple more streets that this tornado warning is going to be in. Once again, we're going to go ahead and talk about some of these streets there. I believe that's 5C. Once again, 183 is right there. Let's go ahead and keep moving north. There's Tipton just to your west. Go ahead and go a little bit more north. There it is. There's 62. There's Snyder. So these are a couple of streets and areas and regions that will be impacted from this large and violent tornado that is currently on the ground. We continue to track this because it is A, like we said, on the ground, and B, it's going to cause some destruction no matter what path it takes within this specific tornado warning. So let's go ahead and zoom on out now if we can for folks who may have joined us a little bit later on the actual wide range of where this is. This is for Kiowa and Tillman counties. There's Sterling, there's Walters, there's Lawton. Just to the west of Velma there's Duncan right there. There's Chickasha, down to our south, Waurika. Just to give you a good idea where things is, there's Altus, there's Hollis. Of course, there is our main area of interest. This is until 8:30. We got another about 33 minutes to continue to track this storm. This is a confirmed and very large and violent tornado that is on the ground. So let's go ahead and go back to velocity, Josh, see if we can get a new update on some of the information coming in. Let's go ahead and put that into motion. I think I see it right there, maybe right here. There it is. Most likely still on the ground. Let's zoom on in just to the west of 183. And if we can, let's see if it tries to pull in some of the potential winds with it now that we are starting to move away from the radar site. There it is, very well defined. Just to the southeast of Tipton at this point, and now approaching 5C. It looks like we're trying to go in one or two more times. Okay, so this is where we are going to have an issue, where we are too close to the radar site to actually kind of determine the actual wind gust or the gate-to-gate wind shear with this tornado that is still likely on the ground. Josh, let's go to correlation coefficient to see if we can see anything there, to see if there's any type of debris or anything that should not be in the atmosphere. Yep, you can see it right there. It's either right here. Go ahead and put that into motion. It may be either here or here. It's hard to kind of determine. But what we usually try to look for is these reds that show up on the screen and a well-defined area of blue that usually kind of determines where there should be, you know, debris or stuff that should not be in the atmosphere being detected high up into the 10 to 20,000 feet. You know, if this is the debris detection, which is hard to determine, let's go ahead and put it into motion. Maybe we can get a better idea of if this is going to be our actual debris. Do it again, move back to the south. Now go ahead and put it back into motion. It may be radar reflectivity, a false reading of that at the moment, because at the moment we're only about 2 or 3 miles away from the radar site. So it's somewhere within this region. If we were to have debris, some type of correlation coefficient or debris detection, anywhere between Tipton and 183. So if we're looking in this general direction, you can see Snyder, 822, Mountain Park, 826, Cooperton at 848, just before 850. Now we can go back to our shear detector, showing the amount of rotation within the atmosphere. Not seeing any more purple showing up. Still looking at a pretty good amount of low-level wind shear or rotation at the surface. And essentially what we don't want to see is it spike back up with more purples on our screen. But of course, like we saw with our last tornado warning that was to our north and parts of Beckham and Ouachita County, we did see a couple of areas where we were looking at blue and purples at one point. And of course, when we did have the confirmation of the tornado being on the ground, and we did see that showing up purples here not too long ago. Now let's go ahead and go back to velocity, and then we'll have Josh with another quick update on this tornado warning as it continues.
Yeah, at the moment, they're still showing a strong indication of a tornado in Tillman County, and there are also updates on that tornado that was up in Ouachita County. Has moved north out of our area, but there are still reports of a possible tornado from that, even though it's moved north of I-40.
Okay, so still very good indications by looking at different parameters that this is still a large tornado that is on the ground that has been spotted quite some time ago now. And this is a tornado warning for Tillman County along with parts of Kiowa County at this point. And I believe at one point it was even Comanche County, and this is going to continue until 8:30. So if you can go ahead and back this up, we'll play it into motion and we'll kind of pinpoint where that area of interest is in terms of where the hook echo could be at. So somewhere close to Manitou right now. It appears to be right around here, just to the southwest of Manitou, approaching 183. Josh, stop it right here. Let's put a track on right here, if you can see me right here, right around where that stopped, to Manitou, and see about what time they can expect that to arrive. So Manitou at around 8:09. You get another 6 to 7 minutes to really make sure that you are in that safe place of shelter. And this is all assuming that this is allowed to remain on the ground or have some very violent winds that approach your area here soon. 183. Right now, let's go back to our storm chaser, Matt Walker, who is currently out there still tracking the storm. A lot of lightning at this point. And we actually have Matt Walker on the phone right now. We want to go ahead and get to Matt Walker. Hey, Matt, if you can hear me right now, let me know what you're seeing out there. I know this is just close to Manitou at this point. And what we are still waiting for is to see if we can have any type of confirmation from one of our own local workers here, Matt Walker, who can make that confirmation. Go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead. Noel, so we're sitting here at the Comanche County, Kiowa County line on Highway 62, waiting for the storm to come this way. There's really not any road networks to get us down there to get closer safely here in the dark. The lightning is increasing a lot, and that's a good sign that the storm is actually intensifying again. It backed off for a little bit, looked like it was kind of cycling itself down, and now it's really just picking itself up.
Well, you be careful out there, Matt. It looks like you said before, the lightning is starting to increase. We still have a pretty good feed of some low-level moisture. There's that, of course, the hook echo down there where there could still be a potential tornado on the ground. It was a large and very violent tornado is what we got confirmation of once this tornado was issued right there along the Red River and as it moved into Tillman County. Now, this is a great opportunity to, of course, remain indoors. Like you mentioned, Matt, it's dark out there. It's very hard to see unless you're seeing lightning. And it even makes it even more of a danger because you really can't see the tornado approaching your area if you are in the path of the storm. So speaking of the path of the storm, Josh, once again, we've had probably a couple of scans go through now. Let's go back to our radar site. Let's go back to where the potential tornado could be. Of course, we got to go through a couple of different scans here, and then we'll draw out this path. Let's go ahead and put this into motion real quick. We're going to find out where that hook echo could possibly still be at this point. There's Manitou, there's 183, there's Snyder. Ton of lightning. We just saw the lightning right there live from Matt, from his shot there. So I want to say right about right here. Just to the west of Manitou appears to be where the area of interest is, where the potential tornado still can be on the ground. So let's pause that right there, Josh. You probably saw it just now, just like I did. We'll pause it right there, and we're going to draw a track out once again. Okay, Josh said the computer's frozen right now, but what we are trying to do is wait until it kind of refreshes and catches up with itself, and then we are going to draw a track here. I believe it's still moving northeast at around 30 miles per hour. Snyder, right there, is the area that this will be impacting. So we want you folks, like we said before, make sure you are in that safe place right now before it gets too late. don't take this thing lightly. This is a confirmed and large and violent tornado on the ground. There's the latest track there, Snyder at 824. Mountain Park, just after that, 828. And just after that, we'll be looking at Cooperton, who had a tornado of their own on Sunday night. So very familiar situation going on here in the same almost general region that it started as it begins to lift into Kiowa County. Once again, Josh, we really didn't get to go over some of those storm safety tips. We went over some tornado warning tips. Let's go over some storm safety tips, and then we're going to go right back to velocity. Here's what we want you to do, folks. At this point, you should already have the First Alert 7 weather app downloaded, ready to go. We want to keep as many people safe and informed as possible, have multiple ways to receive weather alerts, even here at the station. This one came in through the NOAA weather radio before it even came through on our end, so it's a great resource to have in case you lose electricity, in case your phone dies. We want you to have many ways to, of course, stay safe. Double check those emergency kits, batteries, flashlights, first aid kits, USB power bank in case the electric goes out, and your phone may be, of course, 30%, 25%. We want you to make sure you have something to continue to give you weather information. Use caution if you are driving. Don't attempt driving through this at all, folks. We have Matt out there. He's already in a dangerous situation himself now that it is dark, but we want to keep as many people indoors and in a safe place as possible. We do not want you, of course, like we mentioned, driving through these storms. Do not park under overpasses. This is the main reason why many folks lose lives. We have a lot of people who try to avoid hail, who try to avoid tornadoes, park underneath overpasses, and it becomes more of a dangerous situation when traffic gets kind of stopped or blocked in the tornado region, and that, of course, allows for bad things to happen. So do not park underneath overpasses. If you need to, go underneath an overhang there at the gas station or under some type of covered parking. And if we are going to continue to see flooding being a threat between now and 7 a.m., which I think it will be, we want you to turn around, don't drown. Now, we probably got a couple more scans in at this point, and we'll go ahead and bring up our tornado warning. We'll go ahead and give a good idea of where this is located. There's Lawton on your screen. There's Eldrin. To the west of that tornado warning is Altus. There's Snyder for Kiowa and Tillman counties until 8:30. A ton of lightning ongoing with the storm. That this means that the storm is kind of restructuring itself and keeping that strength that it currently has, and even possibly still a tornado on the ground. This is our first confirmed tornado of tonight. At the moment, it appears that it is not now in the confirmed stage, so it may have been reissued as a radar-indicated tornado because, like I said before, it is dark. It's hard to see. It's hard for any confirmation between now and 7 or 8 o'clock tomorrow morning as we continue to hold on to the isolated tornado threat. Here's what we are going to do. Josh, let's go back to our shear, and our shear could hopefully give us a good idea of where the most visible rotation with this storm could be. It appears to be just along and now east of 183 is where we have the most significant rotation. We just heard another tornado update possible. If Josh has any information, he will go ahead and butt in there. Josh?
The information coming in is also with this tornado, but still continuing to track this confirmed tornado. That was the storm that had moved through North Washita County. It is reformed into a confirmed tornado, but obviously that is out of our area. The main thing we're focusing on right now is this tornado down south.
All right, thank you for that, Josh. So we saw the rotation, obviously not as apparent as it was when we first got the tornado warning of a confirmed very large tornado. It appears now to really be intensifying over Snyder and really starting to increase in coverage right there along 62. So, Josh, what we can do here is turn off the lightning if we can. This will probably give us a better visibility of where the hook echo could be. And there might be our inflow notch. It's possibly right there. It's not as apparent as it was about several scans ago, about 15 minutes ago or so. But if we are looking at some type of inflow still ongoing, ton of lightning in the sector where we could be seeing some hail trying to form, and then there is our hook echo, our area of interest, very near and around Manitou. Once again, very close to the radar site, so it still kind of makes it hard to depict when we start to show you velocity scans here. But what we are going to do is we're going to go right to velocity to see if there's anything that may have spiked up. Josh? Anything you're seeing there that may stand out at you? I think right there, actually. So it might still be on the ground. And that was where we saw our area of interest. We're going to have to wait for another scan to come in here to see our gate-to-gate wind shear. Once again, we're still kind of battling the radar site at the moment. Still very close to the radar site. But we are still seeing a lot of rotation within the storm and a very apparent area of interest. So we can also do it the old-fashioned way. What we can do, Josh, if we want to go ahead and query the red, we'll go ahead and also query the blue, and then we'll add two together to give us an idea if there is something on the ground, maybe how fast the wind gust could be with that particular storm. So there's 39 mile per hour wind gust. This is essentially the reds moving away from the radar. We'll probably have to re-query that now as we got a new scan in. And there's some of the blue showing up on the screen. So we still have at least some low-level rotation. Very hard to depict if it's still on the ground. So I believe Josh queried the blue, 61 mile per hour, 19 miles per hour. So we're still probably looking at around 80 mile per hour wind gust within this tornado warned storm, which is now just to the northeast of Manitou. There is Indiahoma right on the map there. There's Indiahoma. There's Old US Highway 62. There's Snyder. There's a couple of additional roads, 54 I believe there. And there's 5C. So here's a couple of different roads that are going to be impacted within this tornado warning at the moment. Once again, now we are watching Manitou starting to get away from that tornado threat. The tornado threat is now just to the east of 183 and just to the northeast of Manitou, approaching Indiahoma. Indiahoma, you need to have a very close eye on the storm. You need to be in a safe place. You need to, of course, have a sturdy structure to be in. Mobile homes. If you're in a mobile home, folks, you need to find somebody very close by. We are giving you enough time at this point to get to a sturdy structure or to find somewhere else to go, because mobile homes are most susceptible to any type of wind damage or tornado damage, and we do not want to see any of that happen. So once again, it appears Indiahoma is going to be in the threat of this. US Highway 62, of course, will also be in the threat of this potential tornado warning. They have just restructured this tornado warning to include a couple of additional counties. Of course, Indiahoma being one of the ones we were just mentioning, just also west of Cache, and now just west of Medicine Park. This now also includes Comanche County. So Josh, let's go back to our tornado warning graphic there. This will show us, of course, the areas that will be included in this now, and also give us the time frame on when this could end. Comanche County, Kiowa County, Tillman County, you're currently in a tornado warning until 9 p.m. This is going to continue moving northeast. Josh, is the speed still at around 35 miles per hour?
The storm is moving towards the northeast at 30 miles per hour. Of course, lasting until 9 p.m. tonight. We're showing tornadoes and golf ball sized hail.
All right, so it looks like the hail core has increased within the storm. And Matt and I were talking, of course, usually when we start to see an uptick in lightning, that's a good idea and a good indication that the storm is still intensifying. So there is a new update on your screen, Comanche, Kiowa, Tillman counties. Josh, let's go ahead and zoom out to give people perspective on where this storm is located in terms of where they live. Let's go out a little bit further, just in case people might not know where some of these counties are. Give me one or two more, go out a little bit more if you can. Okay, there we are. So there's, of course, Velma, there's Duncan, there's Chickasha, there's Waurika, there's Lawton. Notice that the tornado warning is now moving into western parts of Comanche County. There's Walters, there's Frederick, there's Altus, and there's Hollis. And of course, we've got Mangum there, Hobart there, and then we, of course, got the Red River area south of the Red River, northwest, north central Texas. Now, here's our tornado warning that we are really concerned with, although we also have another tornado confirmation to our north, which was the original tornado warning that we were tracking earlier, as it was in Beckham and Ouachita counties. What we do want to do now to see if anything is continuing to try to spin back up or remain on the ground is looking at our shear graphic, which indicates the amount of rotation near or at the surface. So it doesn't appear to be too impressive, obviously, but it doesn't mean that there's a wall cloud there and a funnel cloud, or maybe the tornado trying to drop again. What we can do is we can go ahead and go back to our velocity and see if we can also confirm that with this particular parameter. But what we are looking at is very strong wind gusts up to 70 to 80 miles per hour. There's our velocity signature just to the south of Snyder. You can see where the reds are still meeting up the greens, and obviously that's the reason why they had to reissue that tornado warning. Carnegie, 929, Fort Cobb at 936. The storm is still moving towards the northeast at 30 to 35 miles per hour. And eventually this area of interest is, of course, velocity couplet, which we're keeping a very close eye on. We'll move into far western and northwestern parts of Comanche County. There are 2 cities currently in the impact zone of that, and this will be moving over US Highway 62 up towards Fort Cobb, up towards Carnegie. Any information on that new tornado warning, Josh?
No new information on this tornado. They're still issuing updates on the tornado north up in Custer County, north of I-40.
Okay, we appreciate that. If we can go back to our reflectivity, I want to see if we have any type of couplet that is still apparent there. We'll probably have to turn perfect, right in mind. There is the potential inflow still. Once again, what we're trying to see is if this is going to become a more apparent hook echo again. That's what we try to look for in these classic type of supercell situations, because usually hidden in that hook echo is a tornado that was once on the ground, and it may be trying to drop again, because usually these purples that are showing up on your screen with that white outlining, these are indicators of tornadoes being confirmed. Josh, what's going on with this?
So it is now slowed down a little bit. It's now moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. And this will be lasting until 9 p.m. tonight.
Okay, so they have just restructured this to kind of give us a better idea on where we could be going with this storm. Of course, this includes a little bit more of Comanche County now, although the actual rotation and possible tornado that is on the ground is currently not in Comanche County. This is still in parts of Tillman County and also eventually about to lift into southern parts of Kiowa County. What we are going to do, there it is, we're drawing it out for you. Carnegie at 929, possibly up to 930. This is all assuming that the speed stays the same. The purple on your screen and that red outline, the purple outline on the red box there, it just means that this has been a confirmed tornado warning. Once again, there's Lawton, just to kind of give you perspective of where we are. Apache, Elgin, Lawton, Indiahoma, Geronimo, and of course, east of 44, you got Duncan. South of Duncan, you got Waurika. Here's Snyder. Snyder looking at some pretty heavy thunderstorms, maybe even some hail still on top of you. Eventually, the storm will lift away from you, and our main area of interest will be, of course, towards Indiahoma and up towards Cooperton and out towards Carnegie. And 62 will be our next main concern there, as we still maybe have folks driving from a late night shift at work or coming home from getting groceries this evening. We want you to, of course, hopefully have a warning out or have something on your phone ready to go that may have given you this tornado warning ahead of time, and we want you to take a safe place to shelter in at this moment. Now, Josh, let's go ahead and go back to velocity if we can. And like Josh mentioned before, this is a restructured tornado warning until 9 p.m. for a couple of counties. And if I were to kind of make a best guesstimate, it is now right there on that county line of Tillman and Kiowa counties at the moment. We're still watching this area very, very closely, not only for the potential for a tornado to be on the ground, but like we said before, we added the inbound winds and the outbound winds, and we got wind gusts up to 75 to 80 miles per hour. So we're also looking at damaging wind gusts and possibly golf ball-sized hail anywhere between Snyder and Indiahoma, and right there along Highway 62 is where our hail core is going to be situated at, and this is only going to continue lifting towards the northeast for parts of Comanche County at this time. Josh, any new information that may be developing in terms of additional storms developing besides this one?
Great. If we zoom out right now, we can see if there are any other storms across our area right now. It looks like the only storm inside Texoma is the one we're currently tracking right now. I know a lot of people nearby are wondering, is this going to be hitting any nearby? Say it's going to be heading up towards Cache, Cooperton, Indiahoma, anywhere near that area. But I know also people, even though the storm may not be passing by nearby Lawton, some of us here won't be experiencing that. Could we still be seeing stuff later this evening, say around 2 or 3 a.m.?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we can do here is we'll go over some of the speculations on this tornado warning, and then we're going to go ahead and go back over what we could expect tonight. And then we'll talk more about some threats this evening. And of course, that includes all modes of severe weather being a possibility again, including the threat of isolated tornadoes. But I think our highest threat of this tornado situation will come with these isolated and discrete supercells. And you can kind of make out the lightning now increasing towards Indiahoma. And I think as this begins to lift towards the northeast at 30 miles per hour, we're going to see more significant impacts right here along Highway 62 and towards Indiahoma, and eventually most of the higher impacts that are currently going on in parts of Tillman and Kiowa counties are going to lift into western parts of Comanche County. Let's go ahead and go back over velocity, Josh, and then we are going to go right into the future track while we wait on a couple of additional scans to come in. There is our apparent area of interest, obviously. There's the reds and the blues and the greens and the high reflectivities, and that's essentially classic velocity shot of a possible tornado still on the ground. Once again, Highway 62, Manitou, you're kind of out of the woods right now, but have waited out for another 10 minutes or so until this continues lifting towards the north and northeast. There's Snyder, and there's 54, and we have Indiahoma right here, far western parts of Comanche County. There is 9C, 5C, just to kind of give you perspective on where this is at. And there's Cache. And just to the east of Cache is the city of Lawton. So here is our main area of interest. Josh, let's go ahead and query that if we can to see if anything may have unfolded here. Perfect time. There we go. Do it one more time just to be on the safe side. Trying to see what kind of wind gusts we're potentially dealing with here. Of course, with the last scan, you saw about 80 to 85 miles per hour. Damaging winds nonetheless, regardless if this is still on the ground at this point. Like we've been mentioning, this has been a strengthening supercell over the last several scans in terms of the lightning, in terms of the rotation, and in terms of the wind gust. So I would not be surprised to see wind gusts within this particular storm, 70 to possibly up to 80 miles per hour. Now, Josh, now that we have this kind of laid out here, we'll wait on another scan or two to come in. Let's go to our future track. And, all right, it looks like we may have Matt with something. We have Matt, of course, looking at that storm that is tornado warned at the moment. Let's go ahead and have some additional information that we might not be having here on our radar. Go ahead, Matt.
Some definite lowerings in the lightning. We've got inflow winds that have picked up about 20 or 30 miles an hour at our location. We're currently 1 mile west of the Comanche County, Kiowa County line on 62, and the inflow winds are currently picking up. Lightning is intensifying. It's getting unreal. If there's anybody over here, they probably need to be indoors in their storm shelter, closets, bathrooms, anywhere they can go to take cover.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. We'll check back in with you again to see if we have any more information on that screaming inflow along with the pickup in lightning there. So you heard it from Matt there. You know, of course, the winds are just really starting to pick up now. A very dangerous situation. The lightning still continues at this point, and regardless if there's a tornado on the ground or not, you can see right now a black screen. The only thing that you will be able to see, if there's anything, is just going to be due to lightning flashes at this point. So we'll go ahead and go back to our future track. We'll lay things out here real quick, and then we're going to go right back to some of our tornado parameters. So there's our timestamp there at around 8 o'clock. Not doing a terrible job on what's currently going on right now. So we are going to continue to use this model from here on out to kind of let things unfold for the rest of tonight and through the early morning hours of Wednesday. So go ahead and go for it, Josh. I'll let you go ahead and describe what you're seeing here.
Yeah, it looks like the storm from this is obviously just a projection at the moment. This is just a one model, but it looks like it could be fairly accurate moving north into northwestern Comanche County, possibly moving into Caddo County as well up there near Anadarko. Near that could be seeing the storm. Obviously, we won't know if the tornado will still be active at that time, but the storm itself will probably still hold together just a little bit to bring a lot of rain and probably some wind up towards that area. This will be moving north of I-40, hopefully by around midnight for us here tonight. And then we do have that second line of storms that could be coming in sometime between 2 and 3 a.m., some broken showers, probably around 4 a.m. We could be seeing a little bit here out near Hobart and Altus, but also Obviously, down here, we could be seeing a couple of showers down here, Lawton and Duncan. Lawton and Duncan, if we see any rain tonight, it's not going to be during the rest of our Tuesday. It's probably going to be early Wednesday, a couple hours before sunrise for us. Obviously, still see a line of storms out there as we near sunrise around 7 a.m. this morning. But as we near then, as that line probably starts to move out, it will be falling apart.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Josh, because essentially what's going to happen is once the line essentially gets to the east of Interstate 44, sometime an hour or so before sunrise, we're really going to start to see these storms fall apart and kind of lose the energy as storm system number 2 begins to lift off towards the north and northeast. All right, let's go right back to Matt. Matt said he maybe have caught a tornado trying to go across the road.
Oh, right, you can see it right there.
Go for it, Matt.
Tornado crossing the road right here. We are a mile and a half west of the county line on 62.
I saw it. There's something there.
Right there, guys. A very large tornado on the ground right now.
It is
Captured
north of
Matt
62
Walker.
right now.
Matt, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you, Noel. Go ahead.
Go ahead and let me know what you're seeing. Obviously, we just saw with that one lightning flash a very large and violent tornado currently on the ground.
Yeah, it is currently crossing the road. It looks like it's crossed at about 25, 30 miles an hour, really windy. And it is a violent tornado. It looks like it's probably a couple of hundred yards wide. Go ahead and go west. Go west. We're going to try to get in behind it so we can get another view on it.
All right, Matt, you stay safe out there. Yeah, try to go south and west to try to dodge that what looks like a very large and violent tornado.
It's still on the ground, Noel. It is still on the ground. Stop,
Okay.
Stop.
It's right there off of
Still
Highway
on the
62 in
ground.
Kiowa County.
It is just in the field north of me. It looks like it's probably a half a mile north of me right now. We are a mile and a half west of the county line.
We're going to go ahead and leave it here on this
Still
shot
there,
real quick.
still there. Let me try to get this camera for you. It is still there.
Oh, yeah. There it is, folks. Still on the ground.
Move forward a little bit. We've got a tree that's kind of blocking us a little bit. Yeah. That is a multiple vortex tornado, Noel. Multiple vortex.
So usually when we have multiple vortices, you can see it right there at the last lightning flash. It is a very large and violent tornado. Multiple vortices means that we're looking at, of course, wind gusts well over 100 miles per hour. We will get to the velocity here in just a moment, but we want to keep it here on this shot to see how this tornado unfolds. Right, once again, wow, very impressive shot there. Matt, go ahead and give us an idea on where you are located again, off of Highway 62.
We're still a mile and a half west of the county line, Kiowa County, Comanche County line. This tornado is now northeast of it. It is moving to the northeast. We are currently going to have to turn around and try to get a better view of it. So we've lost our camera shot of it, but it is still there. Still can hear it as it's flowing through the field.
And you can see why it's such a dangerous situation to have any type of tornado on the ground during the evening hours, because you can't see anything unless you have these kind of lightning strikes that kind of make it more visible. So Matt's trying to reposition to get a better shot of this. Once again, he said this is right off of Highway 62 on the county line.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead down there. We don't have time to...
And thankfully, Matt's been doing this for many, many years. He's has a lot of experience, well-trained in storm chasing. But there are going to be folks out here who block roads, who may not have as much of experience, which can make it a very dangerous situation, especially if these roadways become crowded. So we want anybody in the path of this large and violent tornado to get into a safe and sturdy structure, away from all windows, protect yourself, your family. Of course, make sure you protect your head by bringing some type of helmet. Make sure you have a cushion, whether it be a pillow or some type of mattress to also put on top of you inside the most center part of your home. While we wait for Matt to kind of restructure to get a better shot of that tornado, we want to once again go back over to Max 1. We want to go ahead and lay out a quick track because this is on the ground, folks. We saw it firsthand right here on 7 News. This is on the ground. just to the east of Snyder, right there on that county line of Kiowa County and Comanche County. This is moving towards Carnegie just before 9:30 tonight. It is going to continue to impact a couple of additional locations. Josh, let's go ahead and take that off. Let's go ahead and zoom on in here. Let's get down to the street level to track this out for folks who may be in the direct path of this tornado. All right, there we go. There's a tornado, very evident. It's on the ground, multiple vortices. It is a large and violent tornado. There's 62. It's just now crossing Highway 62. There's 54. Josh, let's go up to the north and northeast. The storm is moving northeast at around 30 miles per hour. There's 49. Of course, you know, if you live in western parts of Comanche County, you know what I'm talking about there. And what is this road here, Josh? Kind of hard to make out what it is. There's Indiahoma Road.
It's northwest Indiahoma Road.
Okay, northwest Indiahoma Road. There's Indiahoma Road. And of course, once again, there's 62. There is the city of Indiahoma very nearby. You need to be in a safe place right now. I can't stress it enough. You saw what was on the screen there. Very large, very powerful tornado. And let's go ahead and go to correlation coefficient. This shows debris that could possibly be in the atmosphere. There it is. Not hard to make out. Usually when the blues are very close to a large scale red color, this is usually what is showing debris just kind of being lofted in the atmosphere that should not be there. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and go back to our tornado warning. Let's get the new information that may be unfolding with this at the moment. Once again, this is a confirmed and large and violent tornado with multiple vortices for Kiowa, Tillman, and Comanche counties. Now, eventually, this will be moving out of Tillman County, and this will start to become more of a threat to western parts of Comanche County. And then eventually, when Matt kind of repositions himself to get a better look at that tornado, we'll get right back to him. Until then, we need to let as many people know as possible where this tornado could be located. Once again, to give you perspective of where things are here, there's Snyder. This is moving out of Kiowa County and into southeastern parts of, this is moving out of Tillman County, moving into southeastern parts of Kiowa County, and moving into western parts of Comanche County. And it will be continuing to move away from Highway 62. I think the last time we checked, it was right about right here on the County Line Road. So what we want to do, Josh, if we can, let's go back to our shear, and let's see how that's looking right now. Once again, Cooperton also included in this tornado warning at this time. Okay, there we are, folks. This is most likely where the tornado is positioned at the moment. North of Highway 62, east of Snyder, moving into western parts of Comanche County here very shortly. There's 49 to kind of give you perspective on where things are here. There's Altus. Lawton, well east of that at the moment, but we've got to keep a very close eye on this just in case anything tries to spread away from the storm. There's Elgin, there's 44. And of course, if you live in Duncan, you know you live east of Lawton at that point. Let's zoom on in here, and we're going to go ahead and get a query of some possible winds that we could be dealing with. So anywhere between, let's say right here, will probably be the best way that we can find out on some of the wind speeds. And at this point, if we don't get what we're looking for, we might have to do it the old-fashioned way like we did before. I think at the very least, we're at least looking at 82-mile-an-hour winds. I would not be surprised to see this way higher than that. Josh, let's go ahead and do it the old-fashioned way to see if we kind of see the same kind of situation. We're going to go ahead and hit the red and greens. So we're going to go ahead and add about 50 miles per hour there to about 50 miles per hour. So, of course, we're still looking at around 98 to 100 mile per hour winds. Let's go ahead and get back to Matt. Matt said that this tornado is still on the ground. He has a pretty good shot again at the storm. Let's go right back to Matt Walker. Matt, what are you seeing out there?
Noel, it was just on the ground recently. It's still trying to get itself back together.
Oh, there it is.
It could be on the ground again. Yep, it's right there.
And it looks to be more towards the right side of your screen.
Right. It was just a cone tornado here recently. We saw it. There it is. It's doing it again. We are 1 mile east of the county line looking to our north. This is due north. This thing is moving very slowly to the east, and this whole storm just doesn't look like it's moving very fast. So people need to really take precautions on this. There it is, still on the ground.
Oh, there it is. You can see it again. So what we are looking for, obviously, is a lot of lightning and power flashes that could be occurring with this storm if it moves over. Of course, there it is, right on your screen again, in the most center right part of your screen. Very impressive, large and violent tornado currently on the ground. We're going to go ahead and leave it here just for another minute or so to kind of give a good idea on the magnitude of this tornado. You can see it right there on your screen, 1 mile east of County Line Road.
This looks like it's about 1.5 miles north of 62, maybe 2 or 3 miles north, actually.
Okay, about 2 or 3 miles north of Highway 62. We just got a repositioning of our tornado warning, of course, obviously saying that it's been a confirmed tornado once again. And this is going to be for a couple of our counties now, about to move
There's
into
still a cone.
Comanche County. So for folks currently in this tornado warn zone, we need you to, of course, already be in that safe place of shelter. And even looking towards the northeast of that, you need to, of course, also make sure you have a place to go.
Noel, there are 2 tornadoes on the ground.
You heard it from Matt right there. He says he believes he sees 2 tornadoes on the ground. And that could have been from that multiple vortex tornado that produced another one. And that makes it even more dangerous now because there's going to be other areas currently included in the potential impact zone of these evolving tornadoes. Let's see what we can see here. We'll wait another minute or so. Oh, sure enough. There's at least 2, maybe even another multiple vortex coming off that center storm there. A very dangerous situation here, folks. You can see it right there on your screen. This is about 1 mile east of County Line, the Kiowa and Comanche County line at the moment, and a couple of miles just to the north of Highway 62. It appears that we may have 2 tornadoes on the
Noel,
road.
it looks like everything's lifted. Nope, there's still one. There is an elephant trunk tornado. Oh, it's backing off again. It's cycling back and forth.
And these type of multiple vortex tornadoes are very, very dangerous because they can turn into, there it is, right there on your screen again.
Here in just a couple of minutes, Noel, we're going to have to reposition ourselves once more.
Okay, Matt, you be safe out there.
Let's go. Let's reposition.
We're going to go ahead and leave it here just for a second. Looks like they're trying to reposition the shot here. This is even more of a dangerous situation than originally when we first had the tornado warning start up, because you just saw it there on your screen. It definitely appears to be some type of 2 tornado formation within the storm. This is most likely the first one. This is most likely the second one right behind it. And it appears that we kind of almost have 2 couplets now. Josh, let's go ahead and go up to velocity if we can. This is, once again, a couple of miles north of 62 at the moment. There's Indiahoma. And we are likely looking at 2 vortices right here, 2 potential tornadoes on the ground on that county line of Kiowa, Comanche County. There's 49. This is now moving into western Comanche County, a very dangerous situation. What we need to do, Josh, we need to go ahead and redraw our storm map here for areas that could be in the zone of these very large and very violent tornadoes. Medicine Park, there's Cache, there's Lawton, there's 44. There's Apache right there at the top of your screen. Once again, it appears that Carnegie will be the only main city picking up right now where this potential tornado could still be there. This has been a large and violent tornado for quite some time now, and it is now starting to transition into western parts of Comanche County. There's Cooperton, there's Roosevelt. It appears to be moving just south of you at this point. There's 183. This is continuing to move in that general northeast direction. Josh, let's go ahead and go back to our reflectivity map. Let's zoom out a little bit on that, and let's see if we can turn the lightning off. And, of course, a classic textbook Hook Echo, classic textbook Supercell. There's the inflow notch. Matt had mentioned that many times out there, just to the south and east of the storm, that is essentially feeding this tornado and allowing it to continue to remain on the ground. So they are repositioning themselves right now. I can kind of watch it out of the side of my eye. Once we see them reposition and set up and see if we can get another good shot there, we will get right back to Matt. He's been a phenomenal asset tonight and possibly saving lives this evening after witnessing this tornado warning. There's Cooperton still technically in the tornado warning, but I think this is going to continue moving towards the northeast and be more of a concern for northwestern parts of Comanche County. Josh, is there any new information unfolding with that tornado warning coming in from the National Weather Service?
So far, they're still confirming that this is an extremely dangerous tornado. It is a large tornado, but also multiple vortices with this. It's still moving northeast at 30 miles per hour.
Okay. You heard Josh. He said it's moving northeast at 30 miles per hour, still a large and violent tornado, along with there being some, of course, issues if you happen to be within a mile or so of this, just because of the multiple vortices where it can spit up a tornado almost right on top of you if we are chasing the storm. Right now, it's still about a couple of miles to the north of Highway 62, and it appears to be just to the east of 54 at this point, and now appears to also be moving into western Comanche County and out of Kiowa County. So this tornado warning may be repositioned here in just a second. We'll see what happens with that. Josh, any new information coming in? I just heard a beep there.
Yeah. Just confirming again, I think my mic cut off there for a second, but just still confirming that the storm is moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. It is still a large and extremely dangerous, like you had said. There also, the WS is showing that their rotational velocity of around 70 knots, so that is somewhere close to around 75 to near 80 miles per hour.
Okay, so that's almost confirming what we saw earlier on velocity of around, 82, 83 miles per hour there. A very, of course, evolving situation. It will not take long for this to try to maintain its strength or try to produce another tornado. We saw it live here on 7 News, where we had 2 tornadoes. It appeared at least to be 2 tornadoes, but at least a multiple vortice tornado, which is a good indicator of a strong and very violent tornado. And here it is right now. There's the inflow notch, still very apparent at this point. And it appears that we still maybe have something right here just to the south of 49. And we are going to get to that in just a second. They're about to reposition this tornado warning. Josh, let's go ahead and go back to our shear indicator to see if we have anything sticking out at our about to get the shear there for you. Oh yeah. So there's definitely something on the ground, folks. Right there. This is the highest rotation that we've seen all evening long. You're even pulling in some bright pinks and whites there on your screen, and you can kind of make out the correlation there. Weak to strong. We're looking at very strong rotation, a very violent tornado still likely on the ground. There's Medicine Park. It is now moving into far western parts of Comanche County.
Something I just want to mention real quick that we've heard from our assistant director, that we're the town of Mears. It's a small town. It won't show up on the map here, but it is along 115, that road right there, and they are in the path of the storm.
Right. So right about right here is where Josh is trying to talk about. They also have a Mears Fire Department right around the same location. This will be moving towards Mears, folks. We're talking northwestern parts of Comanche County. There will also be a couple of other small, very, very small communities that will not show up here on our map. But what we can do is zoom on in and see if we can get street level here. We want to go ahead and pinpoint as many streets as we can. Once again, there's Indiahoma Road. Very strong rotation moving towards 49 here. And this is all moving northeast at around 30 miles per hour, 20 to 30 miles per hour, give or take. The direction and speed of the storm could vary as we continue to watch this storm evolve. So Josh, let's go ahead and go a little bit further to the northeast. We want to go on and pull a couple of more streets in here. Like you mentioned before, to the north of there is going to be Mears, along with the Mears Fire Department, who is also very active in trying to warn their community as well. There's Northwest Mears Porter there. There's, of course, 115 there. And then somewhere within this area here is going to be a couple of different communities that we'll have to keep concerned with. Once again, 115 goes down a pretty long way through northwestern parts of Comanche County. But that is our main area of interest there. Very strong rotation still here at the surface. And what we do want to do, look at that, Josh already knows how to read my mind. Going towards the northeast at around 20 miles per hour. Once again, this is going to be going towards Mears. There's that strong rotation at the surface. We do want to go ahead and go back to velocity, and we are going to go ahead and let this velocity play out if we can. And there is our parent tornado still on the ground. Once again, this has been a confirmed tornado, and it's been on the ground for quite some time. We've had, of course, visuals from Matt Walker, who's done a fantastic job on warning as many people as possible and trying to keep as many people indoors who may be in the path of the storm. And Matt said he's on his way to Mears right now to kind of get a good look into the storm as it begins to move towards Mears. I think, of course, he may stay a little bit further south to kind of obviously miss the impact of that tornado that could still be on the ground at that point. But he'll get a better look into the storm once it starts to continue to move further to the northeast. So we are going to leave that velocity scan here just a little bit for you. And what we are going to do here in about 10 seconds is we're going to zoom on out here again to give you a good indication on where we are currently looking at within the storm. There it is. Looks like the storm is trying to tighten up right there on top of 49. Josh, let's go ahead and pause it here. Let's zoom in there, and let's go ahead and try to see if we can get a good indicator on what kind of winds we are currently dealing with. There it is. 49, tightening up really, really strong. We're looking at maybe gate-to-gate shear 83 to possibly 90 miles per hour. Once again, give or take a couple of miles per hour, just due to the radar being somewhat close by. So it looks like we might be in the middle of getting a new scan in here. Bottom right part of your screen, you can see Indiahoma Road. And I just got confirmation that it is moving northeast at around 20 miles per hour. Do we have any specific questions coming in on Facebook Live right now? Anybody in the impact zone asking questions? All right, Josh, go ahead and go back to our reflectivity map. Let's see if we can find the hook echo here. All right, so you can kind of make out where it might be. Doesn't look as impressive in terms of the storm structure. Obviously, it does not mean that there's not a tornado still on the ground there, but you can still see a well-defined inflow notch. That inflow notch obviously is coming in right here. We've been talking about it all evening long. Right there along 49 is the inflow notch. Here's our potential hook echo still. There's our main area of interest. Notice the lightning, not as impressive, and that makes this storm even more dangerous, because if there's still a tornado on the ground, we really don't have the lightning visible there to kind of make out like we were seeing with a couple of matched shots there. And there's our hail core in the far northwestern part of Comanche County. Now, Josh, we haven't really talked about tornado watches that are still currently in place for most of our area for at least the next 2.5 hours. Josh, go ahead and talk more about some of these tornado watches. We'll get right back to that after we get another scan or two in for some more confirmation.
Yes, the tornado watches that we still have in place are for a majority of Texoma, including here both in southwest Oklahoma and inside of North Texas as well. But obviously the storm we're currently tracking right now is that tornado warning that is moving pretty much in the center of all the tornado watches that we're looking at right now. And even if you look up to the north of your screen, see another tornado warning, but that is out of our area. That is still in a tornado watched area. But this will all be lasting until around 11 p.m. tonight. This is probably going to be for around the first round of storms. This is not going to include the round of storms that we'll see early tomorrow morning. We may be seeing something updated with that should the NWS or Storm Prediction Center find conditions still favorable for tornadoes for early Wednesday morning. But as of right now, this is still encompasses most of Texoma until around 11 p.m. this evening for around the next 2 hours or so.
All right, thank you so much, Josh. We'll let you talk more about the latest tornado update here in just a moment. If we can go ahead and go back to our shear, Usually the shear is what we usually show, obviously, for the amount of rotation at the surface. A lot of lightning still ongoing with the storm, but most of the lightning is previous lightning. Right now, we're, of course, just watching for any type of lightning that could be associated with this moving down the road. Right now, it doesn't appear to be as strong as it was just a couple of scans ago, but there still might be something there on the ground because we're still looking at pretty moderate rotation at this moment. So, like we just showed you on our velocity, maybe something between 80 and 90 miles per hour still moving right there along 49 and towards Mears at this point. And that's where our storm chaser, Matt Walker, is currently headed towards, somewhere positioning right around this region to look back into the storm, hopefully by that time seeing an uptick in the lightning and being able to give us a nice shot at where this could be heading towards and hopefully save lives for folks who may be in the path there. At the center most right part of your screen, we still have Medicine Park. And of course, just to the east of that is Lawton. And then east of Lawton, obviously, is Duncan. So that kind of puts it into perspective on where this area of rotation is currently located. Josh, let's go ahead and go back to velocity if we can. I know we're going to keep going back and forth through several graphics just to show you, because I think there may still be two areas of interest here, right there along the county line, Kiowa and Comanche County, and possibly another one here. And you can kind of make out the spinning there, obviously, but I think there's still something trying to develop here, just north of 49. So we still may have two areas of interest, folks. There still may be two types of possible tornadoes that are on the ground there. There's Northwest Mears, Porter Lane, right there on your screen. There's 115. So we're still watching two large pockets of rotation. Thankfully, it may be trying to pull back up again, and that's what we're hoping for. Puts a lot less people at harm's way at this point. So there's our areas of interest. Let's go ahead and put it into motion if we can, Josh, and we'll zoom out just a little bit just to add some perspective on this at this time. So there's kind of perspective on where you could live. Geronimo to the bottom of your screen, there's Lawton, there's 44, there's Eldrin. This is in northwestern parts of Comanche County at this point, just to the northeast of Snyder. And I would not be surprised to see there potentially still being two types of tornadoes on the ground. Now, Matt is in the works now of trying to reposition himself towards Mears at this point, but he's still doing a very phenomenal job at positioning himself in an appropriate way that won't not put him at any type of harm's way.
He's currently on 115 north of Cache, getting near Highway 58. They're in the refuge.
Okay, so he's right there along 115, just to the north of Cache. And I believe I heard he was near the refuge? He's in the refuge right now, okay. So essentially somewhere right around here is where he's trying to position himself. Once again, Mears is right there. And that's where these potential tornadoes that may be on the ground still are headed right towards. So Mears, we are hoping that you're still watching us in the safe place of shelter at this point. Like we said before, most interior portion of your home. Keep as many walls between you and the exterior of your home as possible. And at this point, just keep calm. We're gonna get through this together. Obviously, we did have confirmation of there being tornadoes on the ground from multiple sources and multiple storm chasers who are currently out there at this point. And what we are still trying to watch is if we are going to have two areas of concern here with rotation, or if eventually one's going to lift back up and one's going to become more dominant. If that's the case, that would be better news because that's one less possible tornado that we'll have on the ground at that point. So Josh, let's go ahead and go back to reflectivity. We'll go ahead and put that into motion real quick. And they may be repositioning the tornado warning right now as we speak, and they sure are. There they are. They're repositioning the tornado warning. Once again, this is for a confirmed large and violent tornado that is on the ground. There is a radar loop, and you're seeing it right there. Very classic Supercell. Josh, let's go to our tornado warning graphic if we can. This will include a couple of different counties who are now included in this new region, and this will also include the time frame on when this new tornado warning will expire. So there's the old one when it was confirmed. I think if we maybe zoom out a little bit. It looks like it's not pulling the new tornado warning in. It's trying to grab the old one. So Josh, you're probably going to have to read this off by hand. Go ahead.
Yes, the tornado warning does encompass parts of Caddo, Comanche, Kiowa, and Washita counties. Still is radar indicated right now because it is so dark out right now, but we can assume that based on what we looked at, it is probably still at least there, either on the ground or at least hovering above the ground, is moving northeast at 25 miles per hour.
And you can kind of make out now that this still is northwestern Comanche County, there's Kiowa County, now the far southeastern parts of Washita County, and now Caddo County. And there's Anadarko, who received an immense amount of damage with the tornado that came through on Sunday. So a lot of folks are trying to still, of course, repair some of the damage that they have received. But here are some of the areas that are in this tornado warning. There's Cooperton, there's Mountain View, there's Carnegie, there's Apache, there's Anadarko. If you are in the tornado warning, you know what to do. You've lived here before, and you've probably been here for some years now. For most of us here in Southwest Oklahoma, this means you need to get to the safe and sturdy structure, most interior portion of your home. If you live in an apartment, you need to get to the lowest story of your building and still away from all windows. And if you really have nowhere to go, you know, what you have to do is get to the next safest, sturdy structure near your apartment and try to get indoors as soon as possible. Do not attempt to drive anywhere near this storm at all. It's a very dangerous storm. We've had this storm on the ground for quite some time. There's our velocity couplet. The one just to the west of that, not too impressive right now, but here's what we're currently looking at. Potential winds still at the surface at 92 miles per hour, and gate-to-gate shear, meaning the rotation of the winds, inbound winds and the outbound winds, meaning the greens and the reds, still at around 90 miles per hour. So that's pretty much the confirmation that we have been getting so far as well from storm spotters and from National Weather Service personnel. Once again, this is approaching Mears very quickly. Unfortunately, our map is not pulling in Mears, but Mears is situated right here along 115. We also have Matt about to reposition himself, still sitting somewhere right around this general location in the refuge at this point. It is dark. It's a very dangerous situation. And, you know, Josh, I think what we have to do now is, now that it's starting to approach another community, we have to kind of go in there and talk about some more tornado safety tips and just kind of visually show folks on the screen what they need to do immediately. So Josh is working to pull that up. We got Matt out there. He's also attempting to get another good shot at the storm. Of course, we talk about this pretty much several times throughout the year. We talked about it also on Monday. We want you to go inside a sturdy home or a building that does not include a mobile home, not including, of course, a home that may be manufactured, but we want you to go to a sturdy home, preferably brick or a building. We want you to go to a storm shelter or the lowest floor of your home, most interior part of that home, away from all windows. If you have the shutters, put the shutters down. That kind of prevents the glass from spreading inside the house. Cover yourself up, get a helmet, get a pillow, get some type of mattress, have that ready to go. Keep away from all windows. We already mentioned that. Put as many walls in between you and the outside of your home. And once again, it's kind of reiterating, and hopefully this never happens. Do not open your windows. If you open your windows, what could happen is you can get a rush of air that comes up and just kind of rips the roof right off. So we do not want you to open your windows. And most importantly, stay calm. We're here to track these storms. We're here to track these tornado warnings, and we'll get through this together. So Josh, let's go back to our shear. I want to see if our shear is starting to pick back up here. Yeah, at one point it did look very, very, very impressive. We had shear pretty much maxed out at one point, which is the low-level rotation where we had that tornado on the ground. So here's our rotation now. Very close to approaching Mears. There's Medicine Park, there's Cache, there's 62. And here's our main area of interest. Kind of make out where some of the purples are still showing up, but we still got a pretty good amount of rotation, even just to the south of that. And that could either be the multiple vortices we've been watching, or it could be two separate tornadoes within this one supercell, which is not unheard of, but it's also quite rare. But it is approaching 115, just west of Medicine Park at this time. Now, Josh, we may have had folks join a little bit later. I think what we can do here, by being safe, we zoom out just a little bit and we put another track on here going towards the northeast at 20 miles per hour. This is now in northwestern Comanche County, where our main area of interest is at this point. You can see on your map, there's Lawton, there's Duncan, there's Rush Springs, there's Anadarko, there's Chickasha. Anadarko, you need to, of course, keep a very close eye on this storm. If you live anywhere near Highway 281 to 277 to Mears, of course, you need to also be in the safe place as well. There's a rough estimate on where some of our most intense rotation is and where it could be located here if it continues northeast at 20 miles per hour. Fort Cobb, 947, just before 10 o'clock. There's Anadarko. Gracemont there at 10:06, 10:13 Binger, Pocasset there just before 10:30. And by that time frame, we really hope that this is still not on the ground. And we hope that this continues to just be more of a wind and hail threat at that point, because essentially this is going to continue to be a very dangerous storm where we're not only looking at a tornado still on the ground, but we're still looking at pretty good large hail within the northern part of the area of rotation. We're looking at a lot of lightning. We're looking at possible flooding going on now for areas who have been watching this storm kind of just increase over the last 15 to 20 minutes. And we're also looking at wind gusts near the surface anywhere between 70 to 90 miles per hour. So Josh, I think speaking of wind gusts, we've had a couple of additional scans in. I think what we do now is go to velocity and see what we can find here. And this is why we still have two areas of interest. You know, they really, really stand out at this point. And this still could be two separate tornadoes or multiple vortices, with this being the main concern here. So there it is, possibly looking at 75 mile an hour gate-to-gate shear. And then it looks to be the one just to the south of that, 120 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. That was before the last scan came in, so we're still looking at a very large tornado still on the ground, and possibly two tornadoes on the ground in northwestern Comanche County, also with gate-to-gate shear clocking in at 100 miles per hour. So very dangerous right now. Mears, we hope that you're listening in that safe place, whether it be, of course, a tornado shelter at this point or the most interior portion of your room. And there's Medicine Park to kind of give you a brief idea of where we are currently looking at. Let's go ahead and go to the hail detector. We'll get right back to here in just a couple of minutes. Two also pretty well-defined hail cores here within the system as well. It appears the one just to the southwest of it, producing ping-pong, possibly up to golf ball-sized hail in the most center part of that hail core right there along the Kiowa County, Comanche County line. Also where there is another potential tornado on the ground. At this point, we're looking at possibly quarters and even ping-pong-sized hail within this storm as well. So that's usually a pretty good indicator that there is still a very low-hanging wall cloud and very, very strong downdrafts, along with very, very strong updrafts, because you need kind of both to allow for some pretty large hail to occur within these kind of storms. So there's our hail detection right there. We really haven't talked too much about the flooding threat. Josh, is there any type of flooding going on with these storms here that you may know of?
At the moment, we're not receiving anything about any type of flooding threat right now at the moment. We are seeing a lot of heavy rain associated with this. Like if we tried to look at what we could be seeing here.
I think we go ahead and stop it right there. If you see right there, there's a very well-defined hook echo again. But you just brought in precipitation rate, 8 inches an hour. That is almost unheard of. So we're looking at an immense amount of rain falling in such a short period of time. And that's why we have also localized flooding being a concern in this general region here as well. There's the hook echo. It still has a pretty decent inflow notch. Matt mentioned that earlier whenever he showed us live here on 7 News that we had tornadoes on the ground. And it may be even two areas of interest that we're currently watching at the moment. Possibly this one, possibly the one right here near Cooperton, right there on the county line. So we're watching this one closely. Any new information coming in, Josh, with that tornado warning?
They have extended it till 9:45 p.m. and it's still moving northeast at 20 miles per hour.
All right, folks, and you can see it right there on your screen. Obviously, not hard to miss. A classic supercell. There's the hook echo. There's the inflow notch. There's the hail core just north of the hook echo, where you can kind of make out the darker reds and the pinks on your screen. And now we have a repositioned tornado warning, just like just mentioned. And this essentially will almost take out Kiowa County now, or at least the far western half of Kiowa County, and push it towards the far northeastern parts of Kiowa County, just to the east of Cooperton at this point, also including Comanche County and also including parts of Caddo County now. And it appears to be, in the current location of the storm and the current direction the storm is moving, that it may miss Anadarko, which will be great news for those who receive damage on Sunday evening. So there's zooming out. There's to give you kind of an idea on where this hook echo and this potential tornado still on the ground is located. Northwestern Comanche County, just to the northwest of Medicine Park. And this is now going to give us a new direction on where this could be heading. So essentially, this is going to continue to lift eventually into Caddo County and then be approaching a couple of different areas. So Josh, let's go on and reposition a track on this if we can. Carnegie, 942. This is all assuming that it continues moving northeast at 20 miles per hour. Fort Cobb at 948. We're talking Binger at 1014, close to 1015. And Lokiba, if I got that right, at 1018. That appears to be headed towards your direction as well, and in most central and north central parts of Caddo County. So, of course, our main area of interest right now is this area of interest right here. That's where our hook echo is. Once again, there have been confirmations of possibly even 2 tornadoes or multiple vortices, which is essentially multiple tornadoes trying to come out of one funnel cloud. And we did see that with Matt there. We'll, of course, have to get more information as the next 24 to 48 hours unfold when we get storm damage reports from this tornado that's been on the ground. But, of course, you can kind of make out here where the direction is. Once again, northeast, 20 miles per hour. Josh, let's go back to our shear to see if it's spiked back up or maybe if it's decreasing at this point. So there's our shear. It's still there. Thankfully, not as impressive as it was right there along the Kiowa County and Comanche County line. It was almost at one point quite scary to see. I've never seen anything that strong in my lifetime pop up along that county line. And that's what we saw at one point. There's some of the rotation. It's still there, just not as crazy as it was about 20 to 25 minutes ago. Let's see if we can go ahead and pull in the hail sizes once again, because that's another threat we're still dealing with. You can see the hail still with there. Maybe quarter-sized hail. It appears to be coming down compared to what it was earlier, which is great news. You now want to see golf ball-sized hail along with the potential for a tornado. Also, the storm attached to it, but just south of that, that small hail core there, which is right there along 49. You can kind of make out possibly looking at nickel-sized hail within the storm there. We'll continue to see if this is going to try to pulse back up and produce ping-pong and golf ball-sized hail again, or will this kind of be the end of this supercell until we get the main event, which will occur at around midnight and through the overnight hours. But once again, you're looking at the hail sizes right now for a tornado warning that is currently in place for a couple of counties. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and leave this tornado warning up for about 30 seconds here, whenever Josh gets it up, and we're going to show you the areas that could potentially be in the impact zone. And you can see right now it includes 4 of our counties here in southwest Oklahoma: Caddo County, Comanche County, Kiowa County, Ouachita County, and this is until 9:45. Right now the time is 9:09. Very slow-moving tornado. Of course, we've been talking about why that could be a good thing and why it could also be a bad thing. Be a good thing because it gives you more time to kind of get ready and prepare if you're in the impact zone, but it's also a bad thing because folks who are currently in the impact zone are going to feel it for a little bit longer. Once again, we still got Matt, who is out there along 115, closing in close to Mears, who is trying to get a better idea on where the storm may be. Okay, he appears to be going on Highway 58 right now. So he is trying to reposition himself right there, essentially, kind of trying to get on the safe side of the storm. There's where our area of rotation is. Obviously, well north of Highway 62 now, right there along 49. He's on Highway 58. So he's trying to reposition himself to where the tornado will pass him, to where he can get a good look into the storm without being in harm's way. So he's doing a great job. Like we said before, he has a lot of experience at this. And of course, we hope everybody who is in the path of this storm, including storm chasers, stay safe this evening. But you can kind of make out some of the areas currently in the impact zone. Carnegie is my main concern here as the storm continues lifting northeast at 20 miles per hour. Eventually, this is going to move out of Comanche County and be more of a concern for the far extreme southeastern portions of Ouachita County and more of a threat here across western parts of Caddo County here eventually. There it is. You can see velocity, pretty good reflectivity feedback there with the blues showing up in the bright reds. Still looking at possible winds at the surface of around 87 to close to 90 miles per hour. Any new information that may have been coming in, Josh?
We haven't received any new information in a few minutes. They're still showing that the storm is continuing to move north about to cross the county line from Comanche County into parts of Ouachita County, where we'll then only be there for a few minutes before we'll move into Caddo County.
Okay, perfect. So essentially what we're doing is kind of playing the waiting game now and kind of trying to make out exactly when and hopefully when this storm will lift. At the moment, I think it's still apparent that it's on the ground, maybe not as strong as it was when it was out there towards the Kiowa County, Comanche County line, but I think it's still there. We, of course, been getting a lot of readings and feedback of around 87 to 90 mile per hour winds here at the surface. And I think, once again, what we should do, Josh, is if we can go back to our reflectivity to see if we have the inflow to sustain the storm, and if we can continue to make out where the most apparent rotation could be. So I think, obviously, there's our inflow. It's not hard to make out. You know, you're still getting a lot of moisture feeding the storm, and that's why we still have a lot of lightning that is ongoing with this particular tornado warning and the severe thunderstorm that is currently ongoing. There's our hook echo. Obviously, not as well defined as it was, and it almost appears that the storm is trying to split. We saw that with the storm earlier before it became the dominant storm that it is now, and it may be trying to split again. Look, it just got cut off. So that storm with this trying to split right now, that is just to the north and northeast at Cooperton at this moment. But here's our repositioning of the tornado warning. We are going to go back to our tornado warning graphic. We'll talk more about new locations currently in the impact zone, and we'll time it out here for you in just a second. Okay, once again, Caddo, Comanche, Kiowa, Ouachita counties until 9:45, just before 10 this evening. Once again, this has been a very evolving tornado warning. We've been getting a lot of reports of confirmed tornadoes, even though it is dark. It has been great to finally get confirmation of what's currently going on. And we really appreciate Matt and other storm chasers who are out there trying to help us out in determining on when and possibly where this could lift. All right, so it looks like we're going to go ahead and wait for Matt to reposition here. He should be getting back soon, but what we are going to do, Josh, if we can go ahead and get a wide range of our DMA. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit more. And this is just to kind of give you an idea. If you're joining us a little bit later, we do have that tornado warning. A couple of counties, it's been, of course, tracking since the Red River near Frederick, and this has been kind of just lifting. And we did get confirmation that this was on the ground, and this is still likely on the ground, maybe not as strong as it was when it was right here on the border of Kiowa County, Comanche County. We have also another tornado warning that is now moving towards Watonga, just out of the viewing area. But what I'm trying to bring about is we still have several counties in southwestern Oklahoma, south of the Red River, and in northwest and north central Texas who are currently included in a tornado watch until 11 o'clock. That means conditions will be favorable with these discrete supercells for tornadic development. We've seen it already today. We've seen it firsthand right here on 7 News. But eventually, this is going to become more of a threat here in Caddo County and far eastern parts of Kiowa County in this particular tornado warning that has been confirmed. And it appears the one in Watauga now that is lighting up the whites on the outside, that is likely a new confirmed tornado warning there as well. And we were also tracking that earlier when it was in Beckham and parts of Ouachita County before it just lifted out of the area and crossed 44 there, or crossed, Interstate 40. Josh, do we have any new information with that tornado warning?
With this one, it's just an update with the graphic that you've seen right there. With it's crossing, if not has already crossed the county line, looking like it is in far southwestern Caddo County currently at the moment.
Okay, great. So what we can do now, we can go back to shear. If you remember last time when we were showing shear, the shear was essentially showing some purples on the screen now. There's a shear showing some blues and, of course, lighter blues, meaning showing some higher rotation values at the surface. We were getting some confirmation that Matt was back and maybe back with a new shot here. We have Matt back. So it appears we don't have Matt back just yet, but they might be working on getting their shot back up, so they might have positioned themselves in the right spot. So we'll get back to Matt as soon as we can. I know he is pretty close to trying to look into the storm to give us confirmation on if this may have lifted. Once again, to kind of put it into perspective on where the higher rotation values are, there's 19, there's Apache, there's Medicine Park. Looks to be just right now, right over Mears, and just about to move away from Mears. So we hope folks currently within this general location, we hope that they're doing okay.
Hey, Noel, we are 2 miles south of 58 here, the 58 junction that goes to 58 and 19. Here on 58, lightning is picking up a lot. It's doing kind of the same thing it was doing when we were over at the Snyder area. I can't see anything just yet. The cell service is not real great up here, so we're having a hard time getting our live stream back up. But the lightning has really ticked up, and it really looks like it's trying to get its act together again. Again, we are 2 miles south of the 5819 junction on 58.
All right, great job, Matt. We appreciate you getting out there and trying to help find out if this storm is going to try to remain on the ground, pull up, or try to produce again. So we, once again, appreciate you. We're trying to get a good estimate of where Matt is. Somewhere in this general region here, looking towards the storm. I'm assuming he's just going to dive back south to kind of push away from the most intense part of the rotation right now. And it appears that it's now maybe taking more of a northerly trend. We'll continue to see if this trend is going to be something we deal with in the next couple of scans. If that's the case, it's going to be right there along the Caddo County and Ouachita County line here soon. But we have a couple of areas that are rotating at the moment. And you heard it from Matt, might be trying to either pull back down or maybe on the ground just trying to maintain itself. So what we usually look for on a reflectivity map is it still maintaining its strength from the inflow? And I think obviously it is. I mean, there's really nothing kind of impeding on the inflow here. So it's just allowing the storm to continue to feed itself. There is our area of interest. There's our rotation and our couplet, of course. And this is going to continue to be something we watch because it might still be on the ground or it might be trying to get back down, just like Matt had just talked about. And he's about right here in this general location now, in this inflow area, looking towards the storm, which is moving towards the north and northeast. So what we do want to do is we'll go back out here, and we are going to put a track on that couplet, on that hook echo, and then we're going to drag it out in that general location. Once again, it's been a very slow-moving tornado northeast at around 20 miles per hour. Here is your updated location. Fort Cobb, 956. Binger, 1022. And Lokiba, they're at 1027, just before 1030. I think once we head around 1030 or so, this tornado threat, hopefully by that point, is out of our area. And then we'll deal with round 2 coming in following that. We'll probably get about an hour break or so. And then we'll head around 12 to 1. We'll start to see a couple of additional storms fire up, and then they will only become scattered to numerous from then on out. And then we'll track those storms most likely through possibly sunrise at this point, is what most models are appearing to show. But we still most likely have some type of tornado on the ground. What we can do, Josh, if you would like to go back to velocity, we will kind of just look at this one more time. And obviously, it's not hard to kind of depict on where we have the most concern at the moment. You know, there's, 58? And then there's kind of 19, there's 115, moving away from mirrors at this point. And we're still looking at gate-to-gate wind shear, possible winds here at the surface of around 75 miles per hour. So we're still looking at a pretty good amount of winds here at the surface. Obviously, nothing too impressive for tornadoes, but it does not take much wind to create damage. And we've seen that firsthand on Sunday with a lot of wind damage and a lot of people being in harm's way. So still likely a weak tornado on the ground right now, as it is now on that Caddo and Ouachita County line, kind of right there between Caddo, Ouachita, and Comanche County at this point. But the reflectivity in terms of the inbound winds and the outbound winds are still very apparent and very tight at this point. Josh, let's go ahead and go back to the hail detector. We haven't hit hail too often here. The hail looks much, much better compared to what it did before. You know, we're no longer seeing quarter, ping pong, golf ball sized hail. It appears now that we're looking at around marble sized, just a little bit larger than pea size, so probably penny to nickel sized if we were to make a best guesstimate at that point. But the great news is, if we even back it up a couple of scans, we're looking at possibly a weakening trend with this one particular supercell. So it looks like the hail is not as impressive as it was, you know, when it was very, very strong and devastating. But it doesn't mean just because the hail's down that we still can have a tornado sitting there. But, you know, it's good news, though, to hear that the hail threat is starting to diminish as well, because, of course, that only creates more damage. Now, is there any type of severe thunderstorm warnings out there as well, Josh, along with that tornado warning?
At the moment, it looks like the tornado warning is just active at the moment. From what it looks like from the NWS is that the tornado warning is obviously, tornadoes are one of the parameters for a severe thunderstorm. At the moment, it looks like the tornado warning is just all they have currently.
All right, perfect. So essentially, you treat this as a severe thunderstorm warning because, like Josh said, a tornado is one of the parameters of a severe thunderstorm. And until we start to lose some of the spinning in the atmosphere here at the low level, some of the wind shear, we most likely will hold on to this until it exits our area. Unfortunately, just because of the inflow, it doesn't appear to be showing any signs of getting cut off anytime soon. It's still very apparent. We still, of course, continue to see, in multiple instances, the hook echo still becoming very visible within this supercell here. But now the rain is starting to spread out to Anadarko and south of Carnegie. So we talked about, you know, how these could potentially be some areas maybe in the possible zone of this evolving tornado situation. Like we said before, it only makes it more dangerous when you start to see the rain, the lightning pick up, it's raining overhead, and the next thing you know, the tornado's just right on top of you because you can't really see it coming in. So this is why we are trying to give as much warning time as we possibly can. And here's where we think this tornado could be at. There's the hook echo. This is typically where it usually sits at. And here is the inflow notch. Still there, still pretty apparent. A lot of lightning ongoing just north of that, where we could also see some potentially small hail. This tornado warning for Caddo, Comanche, Kiowa, Ouachita counties just before 10 o'clock tonight. And we are hoping that, of course, this will lift and then this storm will show signs of weakening as it continues to get much closer to Carnegie and continue to evolve here in Caddo County. Josh, is there anything new coming in that you may be able to answer?
For this tornado at the moment, no, it looks like it is still currently heading towards the northeast at around 20 miles per hour. But just if you want to know, that tornado that we forecasted back a few hours ago finally expired, or finally just expired again. So it went strong for about 3 hours or so.
Great job there, Josh. And we unfortunately may be seeing the same situation play out with this particular supercell as well. This tornado-producing supercell, which is going to continue. Now moving out of Comanche County, I'm pretty fair to say that they're going to reposition this tornado warning here soon. You can make out where the hook echo is, now moving in the far extreme southwestern parts of Caddo County. But of course, there are other communities who are still at risk with this storm. It is moving away from parts of Kiowa County. I think it's out of Comanche County, it's fair to say now, and I think this is more likely going to be just a Caddo County situation. So, Josh, I think what we can do, we haven't did this in a couple of minutes now, is kind of redraw a new potential impact zone on where this potential tornado could be. All right, so there we go, folks. Fort Cobb, 9:55. You can see 1021 Binger hitting there at 1038, just after 1045 at Bridgeport. At that point, we're hoping that this continues to show signs of weakening as a supercell alone. Still with the supercell low, we can still see the possibility of a tornado trying to push back down towards the surface. Right now, there's the inflow, not as apparent as it was just a couple of scans ago. And it appears that the supercell is trying to become a little bit more unorganized, if you want to put it that way, but it's still there. Any type of supercell thunderstorm will be possible of producing a tornado. And what we are hoping, and we might be able to confirm this here on the air, is that maybe this may have lifted up. So what we can do is we can go back to a couple of our shear and rotation parameters. It may give us a good indication on if this is lifted. So we're working on pulling in a velocity here or a shear graphic to see if this is lifted. I think we still got a pretty good situation here in terms of looking at the velocity very tight together. You got the greens still meeting up pretty closely with the reds, and very low level rotation. Hard to kind of say right now if it's actually on the ground, but if I was in the National Weather Service, I would definitely keep that tornado warning there. We do have Matt Walker on the line, who is repositioned himself and may have some updates on this particular tornado. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, we're currently repositioning again. We were in an area where we had no cell coverage, but we were able to witness the lowering, the wall cloud. We did not see anything coming out at the bottom of the wall cloud at the time. So it appears like your suspicion is right, that the tornado appears to have lifted from what we can tell.
Okay. Great idea. Great job from Matt out there being able to kind of confirm what we're seeing here on radar. It's always great to have eyes and ears out there to make these confirmations. Otherwise, we know as we continue to go further into the overnight hours, it only makes it more dangerous because with some type of supercells, you really don't have as much lightning, so it's hard to see out there. And until you get a couple of lightning flashes or maybe even, unfortunately, power hits, this is the only opportunities we have to see if there's any type of lowering in the clouds or any type of tornado on the ground. But great news from Matt. It appears that maybe the storm has lifted, but obviously very tight rotation still. You got the outbound winds, you got the winds moving away from the radar, you get the winds moving towards the radar, and they're still very close in more of this couplet fashion. So that is why we have the wall cloud that Matt was just talking about still apparent there in southwestern parts of Caddo County. So great news there, folks. Do not let your guard down. Tornado warning is still in effect until 9:45. We got another 15 minutes. We'll see if this is going to try to produce or not. But even if If I was looking at tight velocity couplet like that, and I wasn't on the National Weather Service at 9:45, I'd definitely reissue it. So do not let your guard down. Any type of wall cloud will definitely be possible to produce a tornado. Josh, you have anything coming in?
Yeah, they for the tornado warning for Comanche and Washita, they have canceled that. So, and the only ones that are left for it are for Caddo and Kiowa County, although it is moving away from Kiowa County as it moves further. So I can say that solely this tornado warning is pretty much solely for Caddo County as it moves further into Caddo County. This is still lasting until 9:45 p.m.
Great job, Josh. We appreciate that. So we can go ahead and go back to our tornado warning now to see the new repositioning of the polygon there. Like Josh mentioned, you can kind of make it safe to say that, you know, Kiowa County's out of that. This is mainly a Caddo County situation now. You know, Comanche County just now dropped from the tornado warning. It is now going to be moving in this kind of western and west central sector of Caddo County and continue very close to Carnegie. Carnegie, still do not let your guard down. Of course, you have to continue to remain in a shelter or remain in a safe place, of course, away from all windows at this point until this tornado threat has passed with this one supercell we have been tracking for quite some time. What we can do is we can go ahead and go back to Matt's shot. I want you to see where he may be repositioning at. And there is a couple of lightning strikes that we may be able to make out here. And hopefully here we can possibly see a wall cloud of some sort. And with that, hopefully we'll be able to see no type of tornado or anything on the ground still. So that was basically what he told us with that last phone interview we just had with him here a couple minutes ago.
Noel, just check and see if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Okay, Matt. Yeah, looks like Matt's back on the line. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Noel, just a heads up. I've been listening to you. We are currently 1 mile west of Boone here on Highway 19. Over to US, what is that, 62 north of Apache, and we're going to try to meet up with this thing again at the Apache Y north of Apache.
All right, you heard it first from Matt. He's still tracking the storm, trying to reposition once again, trying to get himself on a safe road and away from the tornado warning at this point. Like we talked about before, he had mentioned previously that he believes that this may have lifted up, and that'll be the best news that we've seen here in quite some time. And what we are currently watching at the moment is this tornado warning essentially just for Caddo County at this point until 9:45 with the latest repositioning of that. What we can do, Josh, let's go in and see if we have anything on velocity, and then we'll go to reflectivity right after that as well. So there's our main area of interest. Definitely got to be some type of wall cloud there, still sitting there. Pretty close couplet there in terms of the greens meeting the reds. If we can go ahead and query a couple of these spots here, Josh, to see what kind of winds we're dealing with. Still looking at, of course, severe wind gusts up to around 64 to 65 miles per hour at the surface. We are getting very great confirmation that there may not be a tornado there in terms of our gate-to-gate wind shear. But like I said before, you really cannot let your guard down at this point. You got to treat this as if there is still a tornado on the ground, just in case this tries to let another one loose right off that wall cloud that is primarily now in just southwestern parts of Caddo County. And just to make out a couple of different streets here, we can go ahead and show you where this is near at this point. Once again, this is now out of Comanche County, now essentially out of Kiowa County. And this is for Caddo County. You can see right there, there's 19. There's 58. These are our main streets. And then, Josh, if we go ahead and move out towards the east, you got Highway 281 out there. There is Apache. So even Apache, you got to watch this very closely, folks. Not too far away from you, Josh. Go ahead and put a measuring tool on where that wall cloud is and where Apache is, and we'll see how many miles away we're talking. We're only talking about 10 to maybe 12 miles away from Apache at this point. So it's only going to continue to get a little bit closer with each consecutive scan. And what that means is regardless if this tries to produce a tornado or not, we're still going to be seeing surface wind gusts of around 60 miles per hour as it begins to approach Highway 281 and continue tracking into central parts of Caddo County. All right, so we saw the reflectivity. We're going right back to that. We saw velocity. We're going right back to reflectivity here. What I'm kind of seeing here is the inflow is trying to get a little bit cut off, similar to what we saw with the first storm before it reproduced again. Notice some of the rain here. This is going to eventually try to obscure this inflow from allowing the storm to kind of live. And notice the area of rotation we had, this velocity couplet and this, of course, this hook echo, not as apparent anymore. That is great news. That means the storm is slowly starting to weaken. Just like we saw with Storm 1, though, you have to keep, of course, on high alert because that also produced a tornado again after the tornado warning was originally dismissed. So there's our current track. Once again, it does look a lot better in terms of being less impressive. We do have maybe a new tornado warning update that Josh is going to provide us here in just a second.
Currently still emphasizing that it is now moving into Caddo County currently at the moment. Other than that, we're just getting a spotter report that they are still witnessing the tornado just west of Apache.
So they just saw it again?
It is non-confirmed at the moment, but it is through the spotter network.
Okay. So we're still keeping a very close eye on and possibly a tornado being once again spotted, and we don't know. How long ago was that, Josh?
This just happened about 30 seconds ago.
Okay. So very, very fresh off the press, where there's still could be a tornado somewhere in this general region here. Eventually, this might be our last concern, hopefully. Like I said before, notice the inflow notch is kind of getting obscured, getting kind of choked off, and essentially this will be more of a damaging wind, minor hail, and very heavy rainfall threat if this trend continues. It did not continue with the initial storm we had earlier in Beckham and Ouachita counties because it got itself back together and it reproduced. And that was just north of Interstate 40 at that point. This is now starting to move towards Fort Cobb. What we can do, Josh, we can go ahead and zoom out a little bit. We'll put another tracker on here. We'll give folks perspective on where this tornado warning is. You can see Chickasha on the right side of your screen. There's 44. There's Anadarko. Just to the west of Anadarko is Fort Cobb at 9:57. Gracemont, 10:16. Binger, 10:24. And Lokiva there just before 10:30. So this is going to continue moving towards the northeast. I believe our wind direction is northeast, and I believe our speed is still at around 20 miles per hour. Am I correct, Josh?
It is 20, 25 miles per hour.
20 to 25 miles per hour. Any new information on that tornado warning that came in?
Just a couple other spotters saying that they're still seeing the tornado.
Okay. So we're still potentially seeing the tornado on the ground, although it looks like this may be getting choked off. It could still potentially be there. What we can do is we can go to our velocity, see if we're looking at the same thing here on radar. And yeah, it could potentially still be there, just north of 19, just to the east of 58 at this point, and you still got a pretty good amount of rotation here at the surface. Thankfully, not as impressive as it was when it was producing multiple vortices, but there it is. You got pretty apparent greens meeting the reds, and you got a pretty good couplet there, and eventually approaching Fort Cobb here just before 10 o'clock tonight. And what we are trying to do is just kind of get ground truth information here, which we've been seeing folks saying they think they've been witnessing this kind of making it back towards the surface. But it's very, very hard to see out there right now unless we get a couple of lightning strikes. So you can see right now, I mean, really, there might be something weak there, but of course, maybe enough still to do some damage to, let's say, barns or fences, maybe doing some damage to some outdoor objects. There's 19, there's 58, and there's still our apparent rotation. And like I said before, just looking at velocity scans, this may be trying to hold together, but if you look at reflectivity scans, Josh, we can go back to reflectivity. At one point, we were looking at some of these storms almost choking off the inflow. But now it appears that the inflow is trying to, of course, get itself situated again. And you can kind of make out with some of the rain kind of pushing back down towards the apparent hook echo where this could be potentially be at. Here's that pink outline showing up on your screen, and that was from what Josh told you, where we were getting storm reports of this still apparently on the ground, moving towards Fort Cobb and moving right there just to the north of Highway 281. So Josh, can we go ahead and go to our shear graphic real quick? Once again, there's our shear. Let's zoom it out and let's put it into motion. And I just want to see how this has kind of been unfolding. So there's the amount of rotation. It appears now that we only have maybe one pocket of rotation and not 2 or 3 separate pockets like we did back when it was closer to Snyder. And that also might be a good indicator that hopefully the supercell as a whole is starting to weaken. But we are still treating this as if there's a tornado on the ground. We've been getting confirmation of possible sightings still of something still at the surface, and a very dangerous situation that has been over the last, like, let's say 2 hours or so in this storm alone. So there's Lawton, there's Elgin, there's Rush Springs, just southeast of Lawton. Of course, you got Duncan down there towards the south. No threat for you folks there at all. Chickasha, not expecting this particular area of interest to be of any concern to you, but definitely have to watch it closely between Carnegie and Anadarko as it moves towards the north towards Binger. So, Josh, go ahead and go and break down the reflectivity map again one more time for me. Tell me what you're seeing, and then let's see if we can compare it to a couple other parameters here.
So it does look like, yeah, based off that latest shear scan, it looks like the shear is starting to die down just a little bit. Tornado warning has been canceled for Kiowa County right now. Also getting a report that the sirens are going off in Fort Cobb, which makes sense because it is inside that tornado warning and is in the direct path of the storm. So if you're hearing sirens out there in Fort Cobb, make sure to, take shelter and take any precautions you need to keep you and any loved ones or any pets safe. Make sure to go to the center part of your house or any place underground that would be able to shelter you. But it does look like right now that we've been talking about, the shear has been falling apart. So hopefully it looks like that this storm will be able to fall apart. Obviously, we watched it as it had to cross the Wichita Mountains. So hopefully that helped destabilize it a little bit. But we're currently still tracking that right now as it makes its way through Caddo County.
Great job, Josh. We appreciate that. Speaking about tracking, let's go ahead and go back to our feed from Matt Walker, who is still out there trying to reposition himself to see if this is apparently still on the ground or maybe it's trying to lift again. I mean, hey, Matt, if you can hear me, go ahead and take over.
Are just now turning north out of Apache, and we're going to go up here to the Apache Y, just 10 miles or so north of this. The storm's starting to look a little disorganized. The lightning has come down a little bit. It's not nearly as intense as it was, say 10 minutes ago. We're going to get up here and we're going to see if we can get close enough to see anything. The road network up here is really not the best, although it's getting better than what it was through the mountains. I would still take this storm serious. It's had a confirmed tornado. Somebody spotted a tornado just west of Boone recently, so it's dark out. I think we just need to assume that there's still a tornado here.
Yeah, great information, great advice, Matt. I mean, obviously, we do have to treat this as a tornado warning is obviously still here until another minute or so. We are going to see if this is going to get reissued. I think it will, obviously, just because it was confirmed not too long ago. Josh just, pointing towards his screen that it did get reissued and reconfirmed here from the National Weather Service. But you can see right there on your screen, there's still lightning within this tornadic supercell. But obviously, even like he mentioned, not as impressive in terms of what it was even just about 10 to 15 minutes ago. We are hoping that the structure of this supercell as a whole is really starting to kind of fall apart. That would be great news because then it would really start to diminish this tornado threat, and hopefully that would kind of take away that wall cloud with that tornado-producing thunderstorm. But right there, you can see it on your screen. We still got some very low-hanging clouds. It's likely the wall cloud that was there that popped up about a couple of seconds ago. Cloud-to-ground lightning, of course, another big concern with these tornadic thunderstorms as well. So we'll go right back to Matt soon whenever he gets set up to look at the storm in a different site. Here's a look at the current track of the potential tornado that might be on the ground still. Heading towards Fort Cobb at 10 o'clock, Gracemont, they're at 10:19, Binger at around 10:27, and that is the northern half of Caddo County at that point, but it is not very far away from Fort Cobb. Josh, if we can go ahead and put a measuring tool here to see how many miles away it is, just to kind of give some perspective on how far this might be from folks' homes. We're talking maybe 9 to 10 miles away, folks. So assuming that this moves 20 miles an hour, you know, it's not going to take long to get there. Fort Cobb, you can see in the next 15 minutes, this will be right here on your doorstep. There's our next scan at this point. You know, obviously it's still a pretty well-structured storm, and it may be trying to wrap back up here. There it is. You know, there's our apparent hook echo, and we still have some type of inflow, allowing the storm to kind of maintain its strength and maintain its structure, and there's our lightning. Lightning is still ongoing. Lightning in this case might be a good thing, because storm chasers out there may be able to use some of those lightning flashes to kind of give us a good insight on if this is actually still on the ground or if this is lifted back into the wall cloud. And what we are hoping for is that this storm is going to lose its strength and lose its tornadic aspect as it gets a lot closer towards Gracemont here and just to the north and northwest of Anadarko. Josh, anything new coming in on your end?
The tornado warning that had just been put out has extended it till 10:15, so about the next 30 to 25 minutes or so. But they are saying that it could possibly be one of the last ones, as it looks like it is starting to fall apart, but they'll continue tracking it over at the NWS station over there in Norman.
All right, great job. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go back to our tornado warning graphic. Josh mentioned that this is in effect until 10:15. And apparently now it's only in effect for Caddo County, like we were talking about before. We were assuming that we were kind of safe now for Kiowa and northern parts of Comanche County for now. We still have route number 2 that'll come in here pretty shortly in the next couple of hours. But here's the general path of that tornado warning as it approaches 146, the northern half of Highway 281, and as it gets a lot closer to the eastern half of Carnegie and just west of Anadarko. And once again, man, we really hope that these folks currently in the path of this storm are taking this seriously. Josh, can we go ahead and pull up some tornado safety graphics one more time for those who may have joined us a little bit later on, now that we got a new repositioning of this tornado warning? So there's our tornado safety graphic. You probably know this by now, but it does not help. It does not hurt for a quick reminder, just in case you're about to get to a safe, sturdy home or a building to kind of take shelter. Of course, if you do not have a storm shelter, we want you to get to the lowest portion of your home, most interior portion of your home. Find something to cover you and your family up with, along with having a plan in place for your pets as well. Bring them with you. I know it might be hard to do so. Last time I was in a tornado warning myself, my cat was very hard to pick up and grab and kind of scratch me, but it was well worth it. We were all safe together. What we want you to do, bring a helmet, pillow, mattress, or something to cover up with. Keep away from all windows and outside walls. We want to put as many walls between you and the actual storm. So essentially, as many walls between you and the exterior portion of your home. And do not open windows. That could actually make it worse by allowing the roof essentially just being ripped off as winds travel through your home. And also, we just want you to stay calm. This is why we are still here tracking this evolving tornado warning, as it has essentially continued to be a threat here for quite some time. So Josh, let's go back to one of our graphics. I'll let you choose. And then we'll go back over a couple of additional measures here as we watch this tornado warning continue to move towards the northeast at around 20 to 25 miles per hour. So Caddo County, till 10:15. There it is, and we've got a lot of lightning still ongoing at this point. The hook echo is really hard to determine at this point just because we are moving well away from our radar site down in Frederick, and now we are, a little bit a ways from the Oklahoma City metro radar site there, and we're kind of trying to guesstimate by looking at both on exactly where this is located and where that potential hook echo could still be positioned. But I think we still have some type of slight inflow notch that will be approaching areas just to the west of Anadarko and right there in the northern part of Highway 281. Josh, if we can, let's go ahead and go back to our velocity here. So, I mean, we obviously still have low-level rotation. We still obviously most likely have a wall cloud at this point. And this is approaching Fort Cobb. There's 9. We talked about Matt being positioned somewhere around this general region here, looking towards the storm here soon. There's our outbound winds. There's our inbound winds. And they're still very close together. So, Josh, if we can go ahead and make 1 or 2 queries here to kind of see what kind of winds we're maybe dealing with here at the surface. Once again, very close to Fort Cobb. Fort Cobb, we need to be in the safest place at this moment. Probably pulling in a wrong radar site. Let's see if we can reposition the radar site there. Let's try that out. All right, so it looks like we're maybe dealing with maybe 50, 60 miles per hour within the parent supercell within this tornado warning. However, still very, very broad rotation. So we most likely once again have a wall cloud sitting there, and we'll have to see if this is going to try to produce again. But I think right now what we are looking at is possibly something lifting at this point. But we've seen all too well Sunday, even tonight, of storms lifting and storms coming back down. So it will not take much, especially much wind shear at this point in this type of environment for this tornado to try to come back down from that wall cloud. So there are some of our velocity scans. There's our latest scan. And according to this latest scan, it appears that the reflectivity is not as impressive. And that's why you're seeing velocity readings go down to about 40 miles per hour. And what does that mean, Josh? It usually means that the storm is coming down in intensity, correct?
Yeah, it's slowing down in intensity. We're seeing less velocity out there, probably a little bit less rotation. Obviously, the gate shear has gone down a lot, so it's kind of hard to tell right now at the moment because it is between, pretty much almost directly in the middle between 2 radar sites, both here in Frederick and up near Oklahoma City. But so that's kind of why it's maybe a little bit hard to tell about the velocities. In fact, anything, we always talk about how hard it is to gauge how close it is to a radar station, but even when you get far away and you get to the border between 2 radar stations, both radar stations are showing very high parts of that storm, and none of the radar stations, because it's kind of in the middle of the 2, are showing the base of that, the surface that we really want. So maybe the velocity is a little bit it's kind of hard to pull in a little bit, but even if it's pulling around the middle of the cloud, showing velocities around 30 to 40 miles per hour, it probably looks like it's going to be slowing down a little bit.
All right, Josh, thank you so much for that. I know what we can do is we can go ahead and zoom back out. We'll go back to our base reflectivity map, and let's give a good positioning on where this is located. We'll go ahead and go all the way to southwest Oklahoma. We'll let all of southwest Oklahoma see where this is positioned. So you can see it right there, moving towards the northwest of Anadarko, towards Fort Cobb at this point. You can see on your map there is Wichita Falls to the south, far southern part of your screen. There's Waurika, there's Vernon, there's Frederick, there's Altus, there's Duncan, there's Lawton, there's Hobart, and there's Mangum right there, just south of the 283 sign on your screen. There's Hollis, there's Elk City, and of course, there is a tornado warning that is continuing to move into central parts of Caddo County. So now that we've kind of got a repositioned idea on where this is at, we can go ahead and we can go back and zoom on in here. We'll turn the lightning off, and we'll see if we have any type of update on the structure of the storm and what it looks like. I mean, honestly speaking, Josh, I think the inflow is trying to return, and I think just on the far bottom portion of your screen may be the hook echo there still, which could be, you know, of course, the wall cloud and something that could be capable of producing a tornado at this point. And we are watching it very closely in terms of it trying to push something back out. And now it is going to be moving towards 281 and towards 146 here soon. So do we have any type of hail parameters that we can throw on there to see if this is also a hail producer? It's obviously a lightning producer. The hail is still not as impressive. This hail continues to come down in size. So between pea, penny size, maybe marble-sized hail, small marbles, you know, not large marbles obviously, but we're talking pea to penny-sized hail, just shy of nickel-sized hail being a possibility on the northern edge of that area of interest in terms of the hook echo being down towards the south. And the very far southern portion of your screen is actually Apache. There's Surreal, there's Anadarko. And we continue to track this into central parts of Caddo County right now. What we want to do is we want to go back to Matt's shot. He is getting phenomenal lightning strikes right now. Matt, what are you seeing out there?
Now, Noel, we're just trying to get situated. This isn't going to work. Those are trees. We're not going to be able to see past those. We're about 3/4 of a mile south of the Apache Y here, where it splits off. One way goes to Anadarko, the other goes to Fort Cobb. And we're seeing the lightning seems to be picking up just a little bit. A couple of them are just getting really close, really intense. But it looks like it's going through a cycle. And it really kind of intensity calmed down quite a bit, and now it just seems to be ramping back up just a little bit. Nothing like what we've seen earlier, but it is still, you know, getting a little bit more intense than what it was just a few minutes ago.
All right, man, we appreciate that update. We'll get back to you as soon as you get situated and get set up there. But once again, what we were kind of thinking was that this was trying to pull back in more of a little bit more inflow than what it had a couple of minutes ago. So it might be trying to refuel itself back up, but it also might be trying to come down in intensity. So we'll have to wait and see with a couple of additional scans here in the next 10 minutes to see what exactly happens. But there are some of the intense cloud to ground lightning strikes that we were just looking at from that live shot there from Matt Walker, looking just to the west from Anadarko. And once again, if you can go ahead and just zoom this out a little bit there, Josh, I want to go ahead and see some of the southern counties. There's Apache, there's Surreal. So you're probably looking at a ton of lightning looking towards the north and into the storm right now. And there is, once again, Highway 281. There's our apparent potential hook echo that could have that tornado there, or could have a very well-defined wall cloud that could be capable of producing a tornado once again. And there is the inflow notch that kind of just depicts on how this thunderstorm is going to continue to progress as it begins to lift towards Fort Cobb and continue to move right over Gracemont at this time. Once again, Chickasha, Interstate 44 is here. This is going to be well to the west of you. Amber, Tuttle, Anadarko. I think Anadarko is going to miss the brunt of the storm in terms of the small hail, heavy lightning, rainfall, and possibly the wall cloud that could have this tornado there still. But do not let your guard down. You're still very close to that tornado warning. Fort Cobb is still the main concern here, and areas just to the south and southeast of that. Let's go ahead and go to our shear detector, which shows once again the amount of rotation here in the atmosphere. Let's see if that's turning downwards or if it's trying to allow to uptick again. So there's our rotation. It's still there. So, I mean, we still probably got a wall cloud, or we got some low-level rotation, obviously, just to the west of 281. However, it's not as impressive scan to scan, which is a good sign. But like I said before, do not take what I'm saying too critical, because this is still subject to change, and it could be going through a cycle, possibly, as Matt said before, as we start to see some of this lightning once again increasing right here along the nearby tornado warning. So once again, what we are going to do is we are going to put this into a loop to kind of let you know exactly what I'm talking about in terms of the rotation coming down, and we'll zoom out a little bit and kind of show you how this has been evolving. So there it is. You can kind of make out where the rotation was, at its peak. And for the most part, it was pretty impressive right there along the Comanche, Kiowa, and Caddo County lines. And with the latest scan, we may not even have any apparent rotation right now. So that means good news in terms of possibly having that tornado lift, but there's still possibly being maybe low-hanging clouds, maybe even an apparent wall cloud with the supercell thunderstorm that we've been tracking for quite some time here. All right, Josh, let's go ahead and zoom on in now. Let's pause it. And then we're going to put our best thoughts on where there might be rotation trying to spike back up, if anything at all. So it appears to be going just towards or just south of Fort Cobb, if there's anything there at that point. And what is that roadway, Josh? If you can go ahead and pull it up a little bit, let people see what that roadway is. 146 and 9, just south of Fort Cobb. That's essentially where our area of interest is. With this latest scan, it appears that, we really don't have any rotation at the surface anymore. But like I said before, if we do get that wall cloud trying to remain in place right here along 9, just south of Fort Cobb, there could be something trying to spit back up. But radar trends have been in our favor so far, showing that weakening phase. So let's go back to beautiful Josh read my mind again on velocity. We, of course, still have the red, still have the green, so there might be some low-level, mid and low-level rotation, obviously. Winds near the surface, 56, near 60 miles per hour. There are some of the greens trying to meet up with the reds near Fort Cobb. So there will be, of course, some broad rotation with this storm as a whole. But in terms of the tight couplet that we've been watching for quite some time, and we can also put this into motion for you to show you how this storm has been kind of evolving here in the last hour or so. There's a good idea where it is now. And then just notice that it's really started to come down right there along 9 and south of Fort Cobb. So, it was a pretty tight couplet, even through much of the southwestern part of Caddo County, when it was reconfirmed again by storm spotters currently out there. But our latest radar trend, our latest velocity scan here, does look more promising that this is trying to fall apart in terms of the tornado potential with this supercell. And we are sure hoping that it stays that way in terms of severe weather threats. And we got Matt back on the line. Go ahead, Matt.
So, Noel, we're actually at the point where we're just going to have to turn around. The lightning on this thing has almost gone away. It's not anything like what it has been, so it's really hard to see anything illuminating. And we're really, as we're getting to the edge of our viewing area, it's just really not safe for us to be out here anymore. So anybody else, that might be out still looking in their front yard, they still need to take precautions like this is tornadic. But it just really seems to be weakening from our vantage point down here on the, in the field.
All right, man, we appreciate that. Even there on your screen, it's even kind of hard to make out the lane there on the street. We of course are going to see a lightning strike here and there, but we're not going to see the impressive frequent lightning that we were seeing that'll actually allow confirmation when we did see these tornadoes actually touch down on the ground. But like Matt said, I think it's pretty apparent now that we should probably start heading back towards Lawton, back towards towards the station, and kind of just go over what we saw and kind of compile a report of some of these reports that he's been seeing over the last couple of hours here. But yeah, very dark out there. He kind of reiterated that you still have to take this storm seriously because it is a tornado-producing thunderstorm, and it has been a confirmed tornado-producing thunderstorm multiple times. But you can make out where there still is some at least broad level rotation just to the west of Anadarko and just to the east of Carnegie, right there along 146. Josh, go ahead and zoom on in there if we can. Obviously nothing too impressive compared to what it was. And this was, of course, a very, very strong thunderstorm that produced a strong and violent tornado as well. There's some of our outbound winds, there's our inbound winds, and there's that broad rotation anywhere between Highway 281 to Fort Cobb. And I think Matt now, he's just traveling down towards the south and back towards Comanche County. We appreciate him with all the reports he's been able to give us and ground truth tornado reports from him. In some cases, there could have been two, and for sure at least one with multiple vortices when this storm was at its peak, when it did produce that very large and violent tornado at one point. So in the upcoming days, we will get confirmation on exactly what damage this caused and if this is an EF1, EF2, EF3 tornado. Usually when we have multiple vortices, we usually see at least a strong EF2, EF3 tornado out of that for sure, and maybe even larger. We'll continue to see what plays out with that. Essentially, there's the structure of the storm. The storm appears to be not as impressive. I think what will happen eventually is that even though it still has a little bit of an inflow, that's why we still have some type of broad rotation, overall, it's just starting to break off in chunks.
Norman has just announced that they're canceling the tornado warning.
Okay, so they are officially canceling this tornado warning, and this is for Caddo County and for the storm that is just to the west of Anadarko and Gracemont. So they will be eventually here in the next minute or two. You'll see this polygon kind of disappear off your screen. What we can do here, one more time, Josh, we'll go ahead and put this into motion. We'll show the movement of the storm, northeast, 25 miles per hour, once again towards Gracemont. I would still kind of treat this, though, as a tornado warning until 10:15, just to be on the safe side. Never hurts to be safe during this kind of situation. So I would say play it safe for the next 7 or 8 minutes if you're in this current tornado warning, which includes Fort Cobb, Gracemont, just to the west of Anadarko. I think after that, we should be safe. Once again, we're kind of watching this supercell structure become a little less impressive. We're also watching chunks of this kind of just fall off of the initial parent storm that produced tornadoes. So what we are going to continue to watch for is this lift northeast out of our area, and then eventually we'll see several other strong and severe thunderstorms developing out towards the northwest, and then they'll kind of be popcorned out across southwestern Oklahoma, and then eventually as they approach 44, we'll see a line of strong and possibly severe thunderstorms continue to approach Interstate 44. After that, they will be weakening, moving to the east of 44. This includes areas out towards Duncan, Waurika, and southern portions of our viewing area, heading around Sunrise. We want to thank you for joining our First Alert weather coverage, and of course, as always, you can count on us.